Hey guys, sorry. Um, yeah, I had to turn my phone off. So let me get chat pulled up real quick. 2 seconds. Pulse or no pulse? That is the question. I'm gonna go there for a second. Get the pop out chat. What's up, guys? Sorry, I'm kind of unorganized. This is a stream that I wasn't planning on doing, so forgive me. Forgive me. All right, almost got chat pulled up. 2 seconds. What a coward, I know, right? What a coward. All right. Can't even find my right tab. Sorry, guys. Where is it? I done lost my tab. So unorganized. Gotta love it. I'm sharing a screen. I can't find the screen I'm sharing. All right, I've got it up. Okay, so Fotis Dulos. Can y'all hear me, by the way? Type a 1 if you can hear me. 10-4, good buddy. Can you hear me? Welcome to the live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Thank you, Mario, for that pretty little one. Okay, guys, this is the question. A pulse or not a pulse? That is the question. All right, I'm going to go ahead and refresh Twitter. Let's see what it says. You should take bets on this crap, right? Okay, so accused in estranged wife's murder found unresponsive at home. Yet, as they were rushing him to the hospital, he had a faint pulse. So, I was just on the phone with my mom, and she's like, updated 23 seconds ago. Wait, there's a pulse. I'm like, is he dead or is he alive? If he has a pulse, he's brain dead. Not necessarily, Mario. Not necessarily. There have been miraculous miracles. That doesn't even sound right. Yeah, there's been people that have. What's up, Drace? Why don't you have a wrench, dude? So yeah, there's been people that have been, without a pulse, and did you? Yeah, you did, Jen. You did. Thank you for that. You were the one that told me. Hashtag Gen B, everybody. Awesome. Yeah, ugh. I hear you. Okay. But yeah, Mario, seriously. Like, my sister, when she was born, she was 25 minutes without, in the birth canal. So, trying to breathe on her own. And no brain damage. That's what we're trying to figure out, guys. 7 new results. So, let's see what it says. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. What's up, Allie V? Holy crap. We think he just offed himself instead of going to court today. Oh yeah, that's what it's looking like, right? I should have did this on D Live too. I should have just done it on both of them. What a literal piece of poo. Hashtag coward. Fotis Dulos. Does anybody have the proper pronunciation for his name? Because my mom just likes to call him Frutos. Charged in missing wife's murder, dead by suicide 43 minutes ago. But we just realized that he did have a pulse. So, yeah. If anybody, any of the mods here, if you all have any links, just put them in the chat. I'll click on them and see where it goes. Let's see. I think he's also trending on Twitter, or he was. Not on my Twitter, he's not. And not on mine, he's not. Unresponsive at home. So he did it at home. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to post bail. Okay? You're going to take the time and the money, or whoever bailed him. I'm not sure if he posted it, or if somebody else bailed him out. But you're going to take all that time and effort to get out of jail to basically be a coward and off yourself. So yeah, he did this event, quote event, at his home, and 6 new results. When he was on his way to the hospital, they had a faint pulse. So, come on, what's the new results? He had a pulse when he left via ambulance, followed by another idle ambulance and police. Oh, so now there's 2 ambulances. I should put that as the next question. 1 or 2 ambulances? That is the question. Pulse? No pulse. That's the first question. 2 new results. Man, we should be taking bids on this thing. We have a watch party. Here we go. Watch party on YouTube too. Conference from Yukon Medical Center shortly. Facebook? Okay, so if somebody can find the link to that press conference, that would be awesome. I'll go ahead and search for it myself. Fotis. I didn't really follow it. I did, but then I didn't. It really didn't strike me as something I wanted to really follow all that much. But then I'm like, really? He done offed himself? Are you kidding me? What a coward. I said press conference. All right, so there was a press conference January 7th. Let's go to WFS3.com. All right. Any links, guys? News conference. I guess that they're going to be doing... Okay, so this is an old news conference, but I'm just going to go to their website. WFSB3. SFB3. Shalom. WSFSB3.com. Sorry, guys. No, that's not what I want. It says Washington Farm Bureau. Lord help me. See, this is why I don't like doing these streams right here, this kind, because I'm not prepared, and I really, really, really like to be prepared. So, Fotis Dulos possibly doesn't know how to kill himself. Only well-versed in the killing of others, it seems. Yeah, so, Jeffrey at MRMONKA, I'm going to retweet that, because that's pretty good. And if you all are not following me on Twitter, please do at KSmallz_Z as in zebra. All right. So I'm going to go to ABC News, and I'm sure that the okay, it's still sharing to Twitter. Hold on, don't play. No. I've got a video. So here, this is the only thing I don't like about StreamYard is I have to constantly. So I'm just gonna share this whole window, see if it'll let me do that, and then that way you all can see everything. That's what I was doing before, guys, and they've changed something because I had it down pat. So here, let's share screen. Application window. There we go. All right, so your entire screen. No, cancel. I hate this, guys. I'm going to have to just start using Streamlabs And then that way, All right, here we go. All right. Let's see what they say. Fotis Dulos accused an estranged wife's murder, attempted suicide. There we go. Attempted. Play. You were playing just a minute ago. What happened to you? There we go. Play. Oh my gosh, really? It's not my computer, guys, I promise. It's them. Get it together, ABC. Come on. They're probably having to keep updating it because it's like pulse or no pulse. Attempted suicide or no, like whatever. All right, come on, play. Play. Wow, are you kidding me? You see this? That means it's buffering, but it should still be playing. Weird. ABC News Live. What's that? That looks like United Nations. This is 21 minutes ago. So I'm just going to click on that and then it should automatically play. Don't judge me, guys. Come on. This is a stupid link. It's like not wanting to play. It'll keep stopping right after that. They probably stopped it. They don't want to put out false narrative. So that's the only thing I can think of that's wrong right now, because typically this should be playing. So I'm guessing that ABC News has turned this feed off considering the circumstances. They did get their title right, though. They've got attempted. So if anybody has any links, let me let me know. 8 new results on Twitter. Accused of strange wife. Found unresponsive at home. There we go. As of 14 seconds ago, thank you, Fotis. You saved the taxpayers a lot of money by not having to go to trial, is what he means. Hopefully, you left a note telling law enforcement where Jennifer's body is. Let's pull it up. New York Post. All right, I've got that link open. Okay, see if New York Post is going to play for us. Oh my gosh. Can you turn your Wi-Fi off? I've got mine turned off too. If anybody else is having trouble in the chat, press is starting in a minute. Okay. All right. Let's turn this off. And I bet Fox News saying he still has a pulse. That says as of 1 hour ago. What channel is the news press conference going to be on? Live 3 is live. Okay. Okay, they are confirming that he is dead. Thanks, Mary. Appreciate that link, honey. Sources say he initially believed to have died in an apparent suicide, may still be alive with efforts underway to revive him. I would say New York Post has it confirmed that he is dead. So, I mean, who knows, right? Anymore? People. Where's the press conference at, you guys? Check Twitter DM. Okay. Harvest some organs. I don't know if I'd want his organs, considering that video I did about the DNA. Oh, stop. No, I'm not doing that. Not doing that. So, New York Post, I'm going to go ahead and play this. Oops. Y'all are going to slap me before this is over with. Sorry. I really do know what I'm doing, I promise. Oh my God. Grab your popcorn, guys. There we go. There we go. Stupid internet. Melissa Costner, I agree with that statement. I agree with that statement. Oh my gosh, can somebody please tell me where the press conference is? Popcorn worthy, Harley. I hope so, man. This is really getting on my nerves. Y'all are about to see me go off. And it takes a lot to get me upset. Current breaking news. Yeah. I don't care about how many's watching. That's not my goal here. Where is the press conference? I don't know what that website is. Stay on the channel I'm on. Okay. I just want to play this video. That's it. Oh my God. Buffer, buffer, buffer. All right, guys. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. Mm. Can you hear me? Okay. Thanks for the 21 that stuck here with me. I had to restart my computer. Greyhawk, oh my gosh. Hey, buddy. I had to restart my computer, and then guess what? This little Windows thing come up, and it said, we are installing updates. Look what I can do. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, it would not have happened if I wasn't live. So, any updates in the chat, please? Updates. Application window. Yes, yes, I want to do application window. And, okay. Hold on just a second. All right, so let's do this. We're sharing Twitter. All right, since this is what I wanted to play a minute ago, I'm going to go ahead and play this and see if it does better now. Look at that house. I had to restart my computer, and then it told me I needed updates. So I just basically restarted it, didn't close out anything, and I knew I would still be live when I came back. So that's what I did. I'm trying to find the press conference. So if you all can, you know, um, send me a link to the press conference, that would be awesome. That's an ambulance? Oh, that's something else. Okay. So, give me just a second. I'm going to pull up my Twitter DMs and go from there. Daggone my Twitter box, you guys. Thanks. Appreciate that. All right. Okay. This is the latest link. Okay. All right. I'll pull up StreamYard again. And we'll get you all hooked up here. Oh, that's just a picture. It's not a link. Awaiting press conference. Okay. So let's go to this dude right here. And 43 minutes ago, tweets and replies. It's chaotic. This is as of 43 minutes ago. The Farber family was told that he had died of a suicide, but there are now reports of a faint pulse on way to the hospital. Norm Patty's quote, I am told Mr. Dulos is en route to the hospital with a pulse. Her thoughts and prayers are with him. Okay, press conference has not started yet. Okay, does anybody know what channel or what? Can I get a link, please, to the press conference? Basically to report, I guess, on the current situation and, you know, what all has happened. Because technically, they have to wait on the coroner to actually, you know, if he is dead, you know. So we just want to find out if he has a pulse or no pulse. That is the question. That's why I kind of put that in the title. What a creep. Yeah. Yeah. Didn't he adopt his kids? Was that? Yeah, well, good for you if you don't have Twitter. All right. All right, I'm going to pull something up real quick. Not starting yet. Okay, sweet. All right, let's copy this link. They are saying they'll be right back. So this is going to give me just a few minutes to get caught up on the chat, guys. I apologize. I've never had to do that before during a live stream. I don't think I've ever been that unprepared for a stream. Of course, this was kind of on, you know, on the fly too. So we have Mr. Region, Jen B. Appreciate it. Greyhawk following Christ. It is so good to see you in here, honey. You have no idea. And I'm sure Greyhawk, you heard about kart racer Mike Morales' wife. That is amazing. I actually posted that on my community post yesterday. They thought that she had a tear in her aorta, which is the main valve in the heart. And typically when that happens, you're dead. And after they did another CT scan to confirm, and miraculously she was healed. So that is amazing. Yeah, I think that's what I'm on. Maybe not. All right, let me open that one and close this out. I'll go ahead and leave that up just in case. Okay. Okay, here we go. You're welcome, Psyched for Life, Eva. No sound? Oh, shoot. You all cannot hear it? Can't hear video. Okay. It should be. All right. That's because I was doing Twitter. Okay. Hold on 2 seconds. I'll get that fixed. Put a 1 if you can hear it, okay? Hey, Tamara. No. Okay. Let me do something else. But you all can hear me. So hold on just a second. That's good. Oh, that's why. Okay. It's so weird. Type a 1 if you can hear that again. Two. Okay. All right. Daggone it. Whenever you restart and have to do updates, sometimes the audio gets messed up. Something resets. So hold on just a second. Yeah. I can see that they're talking, but I don't know what they're saying. Let's try this one more time, and then if not, I have to do something else. Gremlins got me. That's funny. No, yes. 1, yes. 2 for no. 2. Oh my gosh. Okay. Daggone it. All right, let's try something. Can you hear it now? Two? No? Oh my gosh. I love you guys. Thank you so much for just bearing with me. Technical difficulties. Why is this not working? Okay. When I play this little test music, tell me if you can hear this. Okay. Very low. Okay, so I've got to adjust the volume. See, I did an update. Super quiet. Okay. Master volume. App and device. Let's see, is there a save down here? App and device. I got to make sure the Chrome and the StreamYard. Okay, here we go. It changed everything on me. I'm getting it fixed, guys. All right, I'm going to leave this still up. All right, try this. Could you hear that video? Can you hear the video? 1 or 2? 1 for yes, 2 for no. 2. Okay.
Well, that case, simply stated, will go forward. We'll continue. The investigation is open, active, and I know that state police detectives are working with fellow law enforcement to try to answer the questions that are still unanswered at this time. And, searching for any leads, any information. But certainly with this case,
Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Criminal investigation. And the hope here is that maybe there's something that will surface during this investigation that will help with the homicide investigation. And only time will tell once investigators are able to get underway and do a thorough, complete job.
I hate to even ask, is there an echo?
All right, thank you, Lieutenant Paul Vance. Thank you for being with us today, and I know you'll stay close as new information develops.
Yes, there's an echo.
Thank you for being with us.
And also on the Farmington property for Eyewitness News today is Channel 3's Eva Zamaris, who's been there since
No
this
echo.
morning.
Okay,
And
sorry.
Eva,
I wanted to crawl under a
what
rock.
kind of activity have you seen since the police left?
Well, we're still seeing police here on the scene. Where we're standing right now is right at the very tippy top of Jefferson Crossing. Actually, you can see that this is the memorial that's in place here for Jennifer Dulos. If we pan a little bit over, from our vantage point, it's a little tough to see right now. I know that we've got Drone 3 in the air. They might be able to provide a better perspective. But you can see 2 Farmington police officers right at the top of Jefferson Crossing. And then there's a long line of state police that's actually just beyond these trees and this brush. And they're all parked across the street from Fotis Dulos' Jefferson Crossing mansion here in Farmington. State police have been here for quite some time now. As I mentioned in my last live report here, the scene has changed dramatically since we first came on the air, when there was much more activity here at the home. And now that investigation is underway here, we can see, at least from where I'm standing right now, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 state police cars. And allowed to have contact with people involved here in this case. And we heard Lieutenant Paul Vance talk about this, that house arrest is the confines of your home. And there are approved stops that he's allowed to make. There are approved places he's allowed to go. That being, at one point, work, doctor's, lawyer's office, church, if approved as well, and those stops have to be approved. And Kara, as you mentioned, the state came after Fotis Dulos because he was caught on camera actually stopping here at Jefferson Crossing, coming out to this very memorial that you could see behind me right now, that's just right at the end of the drive, and actually removing items. And Norm Pattis said that these items taunted his client. He said that even though this is a memorial to Jennifer, it
Are you kidding me?
His client. It was upsetting to his client. And you can see, Kara, as you mentioned, there is a lot of purple here tied
It
to
taunted
the tree.
him.
A purple ribbon that reads justice
It
for
was
Jennifer.
upsetting to
There
him.
are several bouquets that are placed along a rock. You can see that there are 5 purple candles here as well. There's another candle. There's 2 candles on the ground as well. And over the course of these last couple of months, when we've kind of been keeping an eye on this memorial has actually grown from just 1, maybe 2 bouquets to what you're seeing right now. And as I mentioned earlier, we've been here just outside the property for quite some time now. We actually saw a man pull up, slow down, stop, and pull over, and he came to this very memorial to pay his respect to Jennifer, that he wanted to come here and just have a moment of silence, a moment for Jennifer. But again, this is that very memorial that came into question last week. And if this was enough of, if the state had enough of an argument that this actually was in violation of the conditions of his release, and a judge, because of this, actually took work off of those approved stops that Fotis Dulos is allowed to make while on house arrest, that any business that he has to do has to be done inside his Jefferson Crossing home. And Kara, I heard you talk about it earlier, that Norm Pattis even said that one sale of one of these homes that he built with his company, the 4 Group, the direct quote that Norm Pattis used just last week is that one sale could actually right this ship. We were aware that Fotis Dulos was having some financial troubles as well, and that one sale of one of these mansions could actually right this ship. That's Norm Pattis's direct quote from last week. And again, the judge took work off the approved list for his release, all of the work needing to be done inside of his Jefferson Crossing home, and anything else that might have needed personal attention would be needed to be done by someone else.
Eva, you bring up a good point. In fact, when we were going through the arrest warrants, they even put out the pie of, they were using finances even as a motive. Prosecutors have put out that he was overextended by millions of dollars on many credit lines. So we don't know, but we do know that something changed, and he was no longer allowed to leave that home, no longer allowed to create any money. And now that perhaps there was a problem with the backing of the bond, and that he was supposed to appear in court tomorrow. All of that certainly, I'm sure police are going to be looking at as perhaps a motive for this attempted suicide by carbon monoxide. Thank you so much for being with us, Eva. I'm sure we're going to check in with you again. We have just learned that the state police are planning on holding a news conference in about 12 minutes from now, around 2:30, they say.
Yes, we're going to be getting an update, obviously, on what happened.
So about 10 minutes.
What's happening right now at the Yukon Health Center. If you're just joining us, of course, it's been kind of a chaotic morning because initially it was just a routine or somewhat routine bond hearing, and then it became an emergency bond hearing. We're told the police might be picking up Fotis Dulos, and then it was reported that
Thank you, Jim
live on air, he
B.
was getting CPR.
Thanks,
We
Psych
watched it
for
happen
Live.
as Drone 3
Appreciate
had
it.
exclusive video as we were just monitoring the home to see if he might
Amy
be leaving,
Jane,
and all of a
thank
sudden, as we're
you.
looking at our Drone
Tamara,
3 video,
thank you.
we watched as personnel attempted to revive him. Now, this is what happened after. This is after they put in the tents. But there was earlier video where our viewers who were joining us, and I don't know if we can bring that up, they were actually reviving
What a coward,
Fotis Dulos
though.
at that time, and we had clear view of them performing CPR on him.
For about 10 minutes or so, and then it was reported, multiple sources told Eyewitness News and other
Thanks,
media agencies
Aaron.
that he was dead. And so we reported that Fotis Dulos was dead. A short time later, we heard some tips, and later confirmed by his attorney, Norm Pattis, that indeed he was alive, but with a faint pulse. One of our reporters who was on the scene all day and witnessed much of this is Channel 3's Courtney Zeller, and she joins us now live from the Dulos property, or near the Dulos property. And Courtney, I want to ask you, because earlier today you talked about this woman who showed up at the home. We've since learned, we don't have her name yet, but we've since learned
Hello,
that she was
ocean
part of
lover.
the bond package and that she's listed in some of the bond paperwork. Tell us what you witnessed when she came there.
Yeah, we were here. Well, yeah, my colleague Eva Zamaris was actually here, and we came to basically relieve her, and she was filling me in, saying that there was this woman who showed up at the home, shortly around like 11 o'clock or so this morning. And we originally were here because of this bond hearing, and we were told by sources that Fotis Dulos was going to be escorted to this bond hearing. Someone was going to pick him up, whether that was going to be state police or one of his attorneys. We didn't know, but we were told that he was going to be taken. And so, it's 11 o'clock, and he needed to be in Stanford. And it does take a while to get to Stanford from Farmington, definitely over an hour. So, yeah, this woman was here. She was kind of walking around, I guess, the front of the house. And then she left. And that's what Eva Zamaris told me that she had seen with her own eyes. This woman left. And then a short time after that, that's when we saw local police show up, and then state police showed up, and we're looking at our drone footage, and all of a sudden we see this man laying on the pavement in the back of his home near the garage.
You're welcome, Mara.
And police and then fire crews showed up as well, and they're taking turns doing CPR, and apparently they were doing CPR on Fotis Dulos for it was about 10 minutes, or if not longer. And then that's when ambulances showed up. We saw an ambulance leave by police escort. And during that time, that woman showed up again. And we saw her on our footage. She was running behind the back of the house, I'm assuming, to check on Mr. Dulos. But you had mentioned a little while ago, Dennis, that this press conference is starting in about 10 minutes or so, 12 minutes from now. So we're hoping to get a little more
I want to know who
information.
called
The sources also
911.
mentioned, if you haven't heard this, that he was trying to commit suicide by carbon monoxide. And they pulled him out. Lieutenant Vance was saying to get some fresh air, and then they started those compressions. Dennis, Kara.
And, Courtney, just to repeat, you said they went on for about 10 minutes or so, correct? The compressions?
Yeah, about 10 minutes. And I made sure to time it because in these kinds of situations, it seems like it takes forever. It seems like it takes forever for an ambulance to get here. It seems like it takes forever, for fire crews and to police to show up.
How would she know to find him,
those
though?
Compressions, it was 10 minutes, and then the ambulance arrived on scene. There was actually two. I saw a Yukon ambulance and then another local ambulance as well.
The video is pretty dramatic. I'm hoping we can show that to you.
Really?
And actually, when they first arrived at the scene.
As of right now, a lot of people witnessed that video.
I thought either hanging or carbon monoxide.
For the time being, but this is what happened.
Right. Who is this
that our
mystery
drone was
woman?
just over the house, and we were looking for Fotis Dulos to come out and go to court like he has done many times before. What you're seeing there is exactly where the CPR was being administered. And as we heard from Lieutenant Vance, it would be protocol to
So he had court
pull
today.
someone out of the garage and into fresh air, because that would be something that would be necessary.
Bondswoman.
As we now have heard from multiple sources, he attempted suicide via carbon monoxide by running the car in the garage.
And Lieutenant Vance was saying he didn't really know of any cases in Connecticut where this has
Melissa.
happened, but across the nation there have been some high-profile cases in which someone who was accused of killing someone committed suicide as this case progressed. I know in Boston, I'm going to say maybe 25 years ago, Charles Stewart was accused of killing his wife. And as the evidence really zeroed in on him, he committed suicide. I believe he jumped off a bridge, the Mystic River Bridge in Boston, as I recall. So these things do happen with these.
Is that the real
suspects
Pookie T?
Who are, as the case progresses.
I thought I'd
and the
already
evidence
given
seems
her
to
a wrench.
mount. We don't know, of course, his motives behind this, but we know that today was not going to be a good day for him because he could have had his bond revoked and be sent back to prison.
The judge had warned him sternly at the last hearing, this is strike two. If I see you in here again with any violations, then I might make this a $12 million bond, which would be, of course, much more difficult to get at. Or if the
that makes
backers
sense.
had questions. This is video of when the ambulance arrived at Fotis Dulos' home earlier today. And we are expecting the news
What
conference.
a
It's
coward.
2:25 now. We understand state police are going to having a news conference around 2:30.
Yes, this is Jefferson Crossing.
Okay, I'm going to leave this going. I'm going to step away for just a second, but I'm not going to mute it. I'm just going to lay my headphones down.
That was his business. He built these
All right, I'll be right back.
And was no longer allowed to work. That was a condition of the last bond hearing. And certainly the financial difficulties were something that defense attorney Pattis had talked about and said that he would need to work to right his ship, and he was no longer allowed to do that as of the last week or so.
And the bond story that was developing today was somewhat complicated because it involved the mortgage in the bank and things like that. So,
well, often if you have to put up in the $6 million bond, we know he needed about $430,000, and about $130,000 came from a family friend in cash. The rest would have to be collateral, and he's already being sued over his many properties. What cash is actually available? So that would have been something that the bail bonds company would have had to look at and see, what do you actually own that we get if something goes wrong? And we understand that was a very complicated way of all the real estate that had to be put together for that transaction.
If you are just joining us, we are preempting regular programming today to bring you some breaking news about Fotis Dulos. All of this blew up, you might want to say, during Eyewitness News at noon today, and that's after it was learned that Fotis Dulos had tried to commit suicide.
We are awaiting a news conference from the Farmington Police Department within the next 10 minutes or so, as these dramatic turn of events have happened, from learning that Fotis Dulos attempted suicide to having reports that he had died, to now having reports from his defense attorney that they had a pulse for Fotis Dulos, and he is undergoing some level of treatment at a nearby hospital. He was taken to the Yukon Medical Center. We don't know if that's where he's ultimately going to stay. And
I know you brought up earlier in an interview with Matt McFarland that Norm Pattis is usually quite visible whenever Fotis Dulos is in the news, but today he is out of state with another client. His colleagues we have seen, Kevin Smith, who also has the ponytail, if you want to recognize, and this other attorney all the way to the right, that is Chris Latronica. He's also on the legal team. He did not speak today. The other attorney was Kevin Smith, who all the way to the left is Rich Colangelo. This is the state's attorney who is, of course, prosecuting the case.
And Kevin Smith did take the microphone earlier today. He did not confirm Fotis Dulos had died. That was at a time where multiple sources had confirmed to the media via official sources that Fotis Dulos was dead. At that point, Norm Pattis had issued his own statement saying that his heart went out to Fotis's children and what a horrible day it was. At that moment, Kevin had not said anything, and whether or not he didn't want to confirm that he was dead or he wasn't sure, but now the events have changed, and that we understand from the defense team, emergency personnel had found a pulse, and he was en route to the hospital.
Norm Pattis released a very brief statement. Here it is. I am told Mr. Dulos is en route to the hospital with a pulse. Our thoughts and prayers are with him. Of course, we got this a little over an hour ago.
And that was after he had said it was a truly sad and shocking day when Norm Pattis had been notified about the presumed death of Fotis Dulos. So much has changed since about 12:05 this afternoon.
And you have to think about the Fotis Dulos children today. There are 5 of them.
Yes.
Of course, they lost their mother a year ago. We don't know exactly what they've been told about this and what kind of access they have to the news coverage of it. And now they hear today that the father, who they have not seen since last May.
His condition of his bond was also that he would not be allowed
to have
he's not allowed to talk
to them.
Children. So all of the evidence that has been released in this case, up until this point, we had seen a very confident defense attorney of Norm Pattis saying the state's case was weak. We had seen Fotis Dulos nicely dressed, smiling at reporters, saying that he just cares about his children. And now this dramatic turn of events since this last revision of the bond and the financial difficulties that were coming to light, and this, for sure, we know that there was at least an attempted suicide. What we're unclear of at this hour, 2:30 in the afternoon, as we await this press conference, was he or will he be successful in that suicide attempt? Apparently, his life is hanging in the balance.
Yeah, the pressure on a suspect like that, he's facing this mountain of evidence, harsh media coverage in terms of criticism by some of the people about him. He's not allowed to work. And now today was, as we know, was not going to be a good day for him. It could have ended with him being thrown back into prison.
And this is something that police, Lieutenant Vance had been telling us, that the police, the Farmington police will be there to examine the suicide scene. That's why you saw the tarps and the tents and all the pictures and tape, and things will be done. That will be treated as its own crime scene. But the murder case for the presumed murder of Jennifer Farber Dulos is still underway. There are still other two other co-conspirators in this case. We don't know anything about the whereabouts or comments of Michelle Troconis, who was able to post bond after she was charged with conspiracy to commit murder. We know that Kent Mawhinney is in prison, so he obviously can't release his own comments.
That's Kevin Smith all the way to the right, who spoke earlier today. That's one of his attorneys.
Yes, and he came to the podium just after the bond hearing. It was interesting, as Matt McFarland was down at Sanford Superior Court, the information of what had happened in Farmington needed to filter down to the court, and the bond hearing had to be suspended, the cameras taken down. It even took some time for all of those who were in the know to find out what had just transpired at that Farmington home.
Let's run you that sound that we have with Kevin Smith. He spoke very briefly to reporters, including Channel 3's Matt McFarland earlier today. Let's listen.
As I understand it, he is being taken to UConn Health Center, and that's really, at this point, all that we know.
He walked away from reporters and said very little. That's all we learned from him today.
So we have just been hearing from police that there is going to be a news conference probably in about 5 minutes from now. We heard about 2:30, and now I'm hearing that that is definitely going to happen very shortly.
And we just got some breaking news. Our producer is telling us that state police are confirming that Lifestar helicopter will transport Fotis Dulos, presumably to another hospital. We just don't know where. At this point, and that should be happening.
And likely that can be for the UConn Medical Center. This is not confirmed, but it would be very normal for Lifestar helicopter to transport from UConn to Hartford Hospital, where they do have level 1 trauma care.
Indeed. So we're going to have to wait and get some confirmation on that, or some more details on that from police. The state police are confirming that that is going to be happening. We are awaiting a news conference. We're told that they would be talking to reporters at about 2:30 this afternoon, but
and we are hearing that news conference is set to begin pretty soon, and we'll hear some official information from the state police. Not that what we have had up until this point, we want to make clear to the viewers, we were very careful not to report information until it was confirmed to us, but it was confirmed at one point that Fotis Dulos had died. And then we had different information coming from his defense team, which Lieutenant Vance said can happen in those life-saving attempts en route to a hospital.
The Fotis Dulos case began on Memorial Day weekend of last year. That Friday, Jennifer Dulos was last seen after she dropped off her children at a school in New Canaan. And later that evening, it was reported by her friends, reported her to police.
Hearts have been breaking ever since that time. Fotis Dulos,
no press conference yet?
Is innocent until proven guilty, but there was one thing that everyone could be united about, and just how horrible it was for these 5 children who are now in the care of their grandmother, and how awful this has been for them. Earlier, the Jennifer Farber Dulos' family had issued a statement about how grateful they were for the tenacity of law enforcement in staying with this case.
You know, there were some viewers I noticed who posted they were very disappointed to hear that he had committed suicide when it first broke, because they said, well, we'll never know where Jennifer Dulos' body is. And if Fotis Dulos does indeed know that secret, he would be taken to the grave. So a lot of people were wondering.
Oh, wow. Transferring him to another hospital?
He's alive, and we know that he's going to be transported to another hospital, leaving UConn Health Center shortly via Lifestar helicopter.
Let's go out to Channel 3's Eva Zamaris, who is outside Fotis Dulos' home in Farmington, where she has been for much of the day and on all of these pivotal
The only
days,
thing
Eva.
I'm glad to hear that is maybe he can tell where her body is.
Waiting that news conference from Farmington Police. It's supposed to be happening any minute now, but we do know that Farmington Police will be addressing all of the reporters that are here outside of Fotis Dulos' Jefferson Crossing home here in Farmington. I'm actually going to step out of the way just to kind of paint the scene of how things look. I know that a lot of stuff has changed just in the last 2.5 hours or so. So if we could just kind of take a quick peek. So this is Jefferson Crossing. Fotis Dulos' home is directly straight in front of us. It's that brick home that you can see. There's a Farmington police officer that's parked near the entrance of Jefferson Crossing. And it's a little hard to see from this vantage point, but there are a number of state police cars and cruisers that are parked directly across from Fotis Dulos' home. I think when I was on the other side of the street, I saw about 5 or 6 of them. But again, the scene has changed dramatically since about noontime, when my coworker, Courtney Zeller, saw that massive response here from the fire department, state and local police, UConn. The ambulance was here as well. Again, that all unfolding in about unfolding about 2.5 hours ago. But again, we are awaiting a press conference to get some information from Farmington Police.
I'm going to do
about
something
what
while you
had
all are
unfolded
listening to
here. And
this.
again, we are expecting that to happen any minute now. We haven't seen state police grouped together quite yet, looking like they're going
Try to get
come
my
and speak with
speakers
us. But again, we
fixed.
are expecting this to happen any minute from now.
Eva, we want to just break in here. We've got some pictures of a Lifestar Medical helicopter has just arrived at the Yukon Health Center in Farmington. They've just landed. Okay, they're taken off now, and we're hoping to get some video of that. But we understand that Lifestar is transporting Fotis Dulos to another hospital, perhaps Hartford Hospital, where they have level 1 trauma, and Lifestar is grounded at Hartford Hospital.
So you are looking live at a picture of Lifestar helicopter containing Fotis Dulos, who is apparently had a pulse. We don't know what his condition right now. They're not saying what kind of condition he's in, but he was apparently out cold from a suicide attempt where they had to resuscitate him using compressions and CPR.
And after several official sources said Fotis Dulos had died from this suicide attempt that they believed at the time was successful from carbon monoxide poisoning in the garage. It was later reported by Norm Pattis, who had already said how sad he was, what a horrible day it was. Norm Pattis then said, nope, they have found a pulse. So this is what Lieutenant Vance was talking about, the incredible life-saving procedures we do have in place, especially in Connecticut, and they would do everything they could to bring someone back.
Indeed. So we don't know where this helicopter is headed, but of course we'll keep a close eye on it. I'll let you know exactly when that is. I know that from one of our city cams, we can actually see Hartford Hospital, so perhaps we can move our Hartford City Cam to that and focus in on Hartford Hospital. We'll be able to see it if it indeed is going there. It has just gone out of our camera view there.
Yeah, and we don't know exactly. We'll hopefully find out in the near future as we await this. It's landing right now, and do we know exactly what town it's landing? Where are we looking? It's landing at Yukon. Okay, I thought it had already taken off. So it's landing at Yukon now.
We were told it had already been taken off, but apparently it took off from its initial location. So now it is in Farmington.
Hard to tell when you're just looking at the helicopter. But anyway, Lifestar Medical helicopter has now just landed at Yukon, and Fotis Dulos will be transported to another hospital. We are expecting a news conference from Farmington Police at any moment, and police are saying that that is going to happen. It's forthcoming. As we look live, this is where they will be bringing Fotis Dulos to the Lifestar helicopter.
Oh, he's in there? Wow.
And we're going to see what happens here if we can actually see Fotis Dulos coming out. So I incorrectly said that he was on board that helicopter because that's what we were told. It had already taken off, but apparently it's not taken off. And here it is in Farmington, waiting to carry Fotis Dulos to his next location. And while we're watching this,
right, Jen?
People through sort of the case, and we left off where that Friday of Memorial Day, where she was reported missing, and we didn't know it then. But later that night, Fotis Dulos, according to police, was seen on camera, and his cell phone pinged. He was in Hartford's North End dumping evidence, which later turned out to contain some blood-stained items with Jennifer Dulos' DNA.
We later shared with you at home as you watched us get the warrants, more than 40 pages of the arrest warrants for Fotis Dulos, Michelle Troconis, and Kent Mawhinney, and they described dozens and dozens of pieces of evidence, bloody clothing with Jennifer Farber Dulos' DNA on it, as well as many instances where they found Fotis Dulos' DNA, and they laid out the case where they believed he was lying in wait in that garage in New Canaan for her to come back from dropping the kids, and that he attacked her there, and then it's unclear exactly what would have been done with the body, but there was multiple areas of blood found in and around the home and in all the vehicles.
Wow, all the vehicles?
She was referred to as the Argentinian paramour, apparently. In divorce documents, Michelle Troconis, who's from Argentina, was having an affair with Fotis Dulos, and Jennifer Dulos found out about it. She moved out to New Canaan.
The only reason I wouldn't want him brain dead is to find out, to give that family closure.
They were charged
those
with
kids
interfering with or fabricating, destroying evidence. Okay, hold on one second.
We're looking at live pictures where they are appearing to bring a stretcher. There is no sign of Fotis Dulos at this point, but we're going to walk you through as we watch what happens here.
They said there were two different ambulances.
As all the deep documents have come out, it really detailed what a difficult, and
He would have to have a
according to
pulse.
Jennifer
Yes.
Dulos' violent relationship they had. The nanny reported to police that he had tried to run her over with a car at one point.
Oh my
She had written in
God.
a blog that she feared she might end up in a body bag.
She was afraid of him.
And
Yeah.
there was a great fear, she said, of her husband, especially. She said if she tried to leave or take the children, she feared
Bye,
that he would
Dawn
hurt her.
Morning.
And she did go missing
Keep
after
us
a
posted.
pivotal point in their custody case, and she had left the marital home.
And, you talk to both sides in this case, Carrie, and they have differing views of the evidence. Prosecutors say it's a very strong case. Norm Pattis will say, well, there's a lot of holes in it.
But it's just circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence. There's still no body. He suggested that she might be alive last summer. And the medical examiner later testified to police as they interviewed him that she suffered wounds that were not survivable.
Yes.
Judging by the amount of blood.
Yeah, they can
What
tell
was
by the
put in
blood
those
splatter.
arrest warrants, that was one of the reasons they were able to bring forth that murder
And the
charge.
amount.
Many have asked, how were they able to charge him with murder without a body? And the answer, police have said that can happen. Prosecutors felt they had enough
it can.
information, especially
He's still
with
alive,
the
Pookie.
other two co-conspirators, where
They're
detailed
transferring him to another
that this
hospital.
was a great plot to murder Jennifer Farber Dulos.
And so what you're looking at is Lifestar helicopter, which we are told by state police will carry Fotis Dulos from the hospital here in Farmington, the Yukon Health Center, to another hospital.
So we're unclear where he's going to be taken, and as any citizen, he's innocent until proven guilty, and his defense team will work to certainly protect him and his privacy. But in this stunning turn of events, we know that he, according to his defense attorney, has some level of a pulse, and so they're likely going to a hospital that will have that same type of advanced care that they can perhaps try and continue to bring him back fully.
And this was supposed to be all for an emergency bond hearing today.
I find it odd they're
That's why
transferring
Fotis Dulos was
him
in
to
the
another
news
hospital.
at midday today. He was
I mean, a
expected
hospital's
to
a
appear in
hospital.
court because of some bond technicality that could have resulted in at least part of the bond being revoked and him being sent back to prison.
We know that he spent a couple of nights in prison as he tried to get the resources together to post bond. He spent at least one night there, and
I mean, that's a pretty
we
big
understand that
hospital.
After the bond
I'm
was
just
changed
curious
just
as
last
to
week,
why,
he was no
because
longer allowed to work. No longer
basically
allowed to go
he
to
would
doctors,
need
no longer allowed to leave the confines of his home. We don't know what happened to his mental state.
possibly
since
life
those
support,
restrictions changed, but we do know he attempted suicide
But,
this morning.
breathing
Let's see if we can
machine.
check back in with Darren 3 to get a good look at Fotis Dulos'
And it could be because of the carbon
There
monoxide.
you see still those state police
Trauma
tents,
center, yeah.
or the police tents have been set up, and they were set up mostly to obscure the view of the media from this drone. They didn't want apparently us seeing what was going on there. But if you look at that,
Pookie, I need to get my mic and
saw
stuff
happen
fixed
actually
before I
live,
have you join.
one of the garages, there appears to be 5 garages, right?
So
2, 3, there's a middle one.
let me
So
see.
Yes, you just see 2
Um,
bays, and then another 2 bays, and then a center bay.
Let me get my
Even
mic
though
and
we
stuff fixed
understand
up
that they would
first,
have
because
brought-
it's
they brought
not.
him out of the far
I'm
bay,
listening through
one
my mic is
and
picking up
that
my
Lieutenant
speakers
Benson
on my
explained that would be the
computer.
protocol to immediately bring
So,
someone
hold
out
on just
into
a
the
second,
fresh
honey.
air as you administer CPR and other life-saving procedures.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do
The video that we do have
is
that
I'm
we
going to leave this
will
running.
broadcast
You all are
live
going to
in
be
video.
without sound,
Actually
but we'll
shows
have
a
a
couple of,
visual.
officers running
Okay.
to his side, and then another one bringing
I'm using. I know exactly what I'm doing. It's just my computer updated, and I think all I have to do is reset it and do it in a new tab instead of a new window. For some reason, the new window's not working. So, I'm using StreamYard in my PC. I've had no issues until now, mister. So, they updated my computer, Windows did, and it just messed something up. So,
the reviving efforts perhaps worked, and he has a pulse and is en route to another hospital. I don't know if we can see if anything's happening with the helicopter at this point. At last check, Lifestar Medical Helicopter landed at the Yukon Health Center in Farmington, and they're waiting to take him to another hospital. We don't know which one or why.
I am just getting some information from someone close to the Fotis Dulos team who is saying that he will be flown to Bridgeport, to the Hyperbaric Chamber there. So perhaps we'll get some
Hyperbaric Chamber, okay.
some information
due
about
to the
what
carbon
actually
monoxide,
there in that
he's going to get oxygen.
chamber, but that's what I'm told by someone very close to the Fotis Dulos team.
So as we await that information, I was just hearing from our producers, we have another resource available to us. We're going to go live to Matt McFarland now, who has been outside Stanford Superior Court. This is where that. You're outside Norm Pattis's office now. Matt, I didn't realize you had changed spots. Have you heard anything new from Norm Pattis?
We have not heard anything new. We were told that Norm was out of the state today dealing with another client. That's why co-counsel Kevin Smith was at Stanford Superior Court earlier today, just to sort of rehash what you guys have been laying out here this afternoon. We were all there, a lot of the media. Kevin Smith was there as well, expecting Fotis Dulos to arrive for a 12 o'clock emergency bond hearing. The issue was that there was some concerns over the security of the bond, the $6 million
Okay, so
bond.
we already know all of this
Insurance company
information,
that,
so I'm
had
gonna,
some
you might be
concerns
without
over the
sound for
collateral.
just a
That was
second.
supposed to be,
I wanted to
why
wait
they
and
were
see
going
what
to
he
be
said.
there, this afternoon to sort of talk about it. Dulos never showed up. Now the reason why, as we know, he was attempting to commit suicide in his Farmington home. When this word had come out that he was dead, attorney Norm Pattis sent out a statement saying it's shocking that he was sad for the 5 Dulos children. A sad day. Then a short while later, he came out and sent out that other statement saying that his client had a pulse and that he was going to the hospital. We had heard from Kevin Smith on the way outside of Stanford Superior Court as he was leaving the building. Did not say much, spoke very briefly with reporters that were gathered there for that bond hearing, saying that he would not confirm sort of the Mr. Dulos' apparent status, but he did say that he was being taken to Farmington the Yukon Medical Center in Farmington, where he is now being transported. So again, this is sort of fluid situation. Still waiting to see if we will hear any more updates from the defense team. But again, they're sort of keeping tight-lipped on it as this all sort of unfolds here in response to the status of Fotis Dulos after this attempted suicide attempt earlier this morning at his home in Farmington.
Alrighty, thank you, Matt McFarland, and we'll keep in touch with you as we await this information. Dennis, you had just learned that he was being brought to Bridgeport to the Hyperbaric Chamber, which is often used. It's an intense oxygen chamber.
Yes, it does. It helps you. Your lungs take in more oxygen than you could through normal breathing. And the one in Bridgeport, from what their website says, holds up to six people. So,
also was used for other things, but in this particular case would be used to get more oxygen to the lungs.
So that is coming from a source close to the Fotis Dulos case, that we understand that perhaps Lifestar Medical Helicopter will be taking him there. We are waiting for official confirmation from Farmington Police on many things.
And we had heard from them that they were going to be having a news conference about 2:30, which is why we have stayed with you throughout your afternoon programming. And, you know,
can you all hear that?
Understandably going to be trying to see what they can say and what they can't, given that this is a murder case, given that the criminal cases are still ongoing.
Wonder if it's possible we can check in with Mike Savino in Farmington. Is that possible at the Yukon Health Center to get a perspective from him as to what he's witnessing there in terms of the helicopter?
Awesome.
And
got it fixed.
Lifestar helicopter and the ambulance that was just there. We're going to check in with him
much better
as soon as we can get him up and ready to go.
So earlier, Norm Pattis had first issued a statement when it was reported that Fotis Dulos was dead, about what a shocking, sad day this was, and his heart went out to his children, his family, and of course, that's I think where most people are thinking about right now are those 5 children. That it's sad at any way you look at this. But now the information that we're getting that Fotis Dulos is alive is coming from Norm Pattis, that that a pulse was found. And that is something that that the great healthcare we have here in Connecticut, they'll do everything they can.
It was really a shocking turn of events in the Twitterverse and on Facebook. And as the news spread that Fotis Dulos was dead, this is, of course, huge news. And then within 20 minutes,
is it your
he
birthday?
was alive. And
oh, it's your birthday month.
As we look live at
happy birthday, honey.
We're looking right now at, this is not live pictures, but this is from earlier, drone 3. And this is our aerial view.
Okay, I want to test something out real quick. I'm going to mute my mic. I want to see if you all can still hear it.
Trying to administer CPR to Fotis Dulos. At that point, when we watched live on TV, we weren't sure. We just knew it was a man on the ground. We didn't know it was him until later. We are not showing that video at this time. We are showing you what's happened after, which is that area where they were trying to revive him has become a crime scene.
We won't know until state police tell us exactly what happened inside that house. But we do know that a woman came to the house, Courtney Zeller reported, and Eva Zamaris reported, went into the house and then ran out. So
let me know when you got it.
We just don't know.
We want to go live now to the Farmington Police. They're bringing us a news conference, which hopefully will answer a lot of questions.
Let's go to Farmington right now. They are preparing a setup right there. There you see Brian Foley. He is with
What's up, Pookie?
Hey, how are you?
Speakers here.
I'm good. How are you?
This woman
They're
is
gathering on the podium. We understand it's about 2 minutes away
This
before
is
they're
all
ready to actually
crazy.
speak to us.
It is
But,
crazy.
We are waiting.
So
to
I
see
was watching another newscast where they said
shocking
that
day
they just changed his house arrest to
murder case from
straight house arrest. Like he wasn't allowed to leave the house for anything.
announced
Doctor's appointment,
now
nothing.
understanding that they
Because
are
he got
trying
caught
to save his
tampering with
life
the
as he is en
memorial
route to another hospital.
Really?
outside of the
Five-star
house
medical
for
helicopter.
Jennifer. Yes.
So when Norm
He
Pattis said it was a
apparently
truly
removing
shocking
purple
day,
ribbon.
it truly is.
Yeah, and perhaps
Wow.
we'll have your doctor sometime during our coverage this afternoon
So the
about just what
judge
happens
changed his house
when
arrest
someone is without oxygen
to
for that long, and
no
what
doctors,
happens after
nothing.
you
He was not
brought
allowed to
back
leave the
to life.
house
What does a
unless he
fake
was going to
pulse mean
court.
exactly, and what is the hyperbaric chamber?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And, like all those
Yeah.
Can
questions
you
that I
believe
can't
what
answer
they
you right now
said?
because
That
those
he
are
was
not physicians.
taunted by the memorial outside in
can
front of
say
his
is that,
house?
Yeah, it tormented him.
Yeah.
So he was out there messing with it.
That was source close to this case, saying
It's
that's where he
crazy.
was
Well, he
caught.
could be tormented.
It is, according to the
Yeah,
Mayo Clinic.
I mean, he's
the
innocent
air
until proven
pressure is
guilty,
increased 3 times
regardless.
higher
But
than normal air
for there
pressure
to be
to
all the
infuse
blood in the
oxygen
house and
into
all
the
the
body.
vehicles, not
So
just one.
whether or not
What's
that
up,
will be enough,
Dave?
and
But
we
yeah,
know for sure
all the,
that
they said
his
all
life
the
hangs in the
vehicles
balance.
and the house,
We also
and
know
that
from
the
listening in
amount of
advance that
blood,
the
they
case
could tell
goes
that
on.
she was no
And he said
longer
even
living.
at this moment,
Yeah.
they are investigating.
I mean, you
day
got
in and day out. They are
you
still
know, John
gathering
and Jane
information to
Doe,
solve
and they both
the murder of
lived in the
Jennifer
house
Sharper
together,
Dulos, and that this
correct?
suicide will be treated
I mean,
Now,
were they
is this the same
yet?
house
There are still so many unanswered
that she was
questions
killed
about this
in?
case. And of course, the
They
biggest
said there was
question is,
blood in the house
where
and in
is
the
Jennifer
vehicles.
Dulos'
So
body?
And he
that
was
is
still
something
living there?
yeah,
that, of course, police can't
Oh
answer
my
at this point. We'll have to
God.
know. And I'm hoping the police are going to tell
either
us.
he's a
We
complete
can now go
dumbass,
to
or he
police,
just
and we're
doesn't
all
know how to
eager
clean.
hear
Yeah,
from
the memorial wasn't
exactly
tormenting him. Living in
police
that
right,
house
but I
was
appreciate
tormenting
you
him.
there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen.
Oh,
This is the
is this a
scene
press
outside
conference?
Jefferson Crossing. This is the neighborhood
Ooh, I'll
in
mute.
Farmington where Fotis Dulos lived. Jennifer Dulos lived in that house as well. And then she moved out. Michelle Traconis moved in. And there you see someone from Farmington Police and Brian Foley from State Police. And they will be talking to reporters. Let's listen in.
This good? Everybody good? I just want to get some notes out here if you don't mind.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Good afternoon. We understand you guys want information, but this investigation is very preliminary at this point, and there's only so much that we can release. Okay. Today at about 11:54 hours this morning, officers from the Farmington Police Department were asked to respond to Mr. Dulos' residence for a well-being check because he was late for a court appearance today. When officers responded, they could see through a window that Mr. Dulos was sitting in his vehicle and he had obvious signs of medical distress. Officers forced entry and immediately began to perform life-saving measures. Medics responded from the East Farmington Fire Department, Yukon Health, and AMR ambulance to assist with those life-saving measures. Mr. Dulos was transported to Yukon Health by ambulance, where he is now listed as critical condition. This is a cooperative investigation with the Farmington Police Department, the Connecticut State Police, and the Connecticut State's Attorney's Office. Again, very preliminary right now. The investigation is just beginning, and we expect to have an update later this evening.
Was there a note at all that might have indicated that this was a suicide attempt?
Yes, it's way too early for us to confirm any of that right now.
Yes, it's way too early.
Going somewhere from Yukon? Can you confirm any of that, or is he still at Yukon? You're saying?
I at this point, he is still at Yukon Health. Yes.
Can you talk about what he might be being treated for?
Carbon monoxide poisoning.
And what was the original call that led authorities to this property?
Just to check on his whereabouts.
I think that it's not me, Dave. It's the feed.
I saw a woman here on the property. She was here earlier.
One of the reporters.
11:20. She was here for about 10 minutes, and then we saw another woman here on the property. I mean, can you give any indication? I believe it was the same woman. Can you give us any indication who she might have been?
Watch, I'm gonna mute.
And right now, it is too early in the investigation. Again,
you'll still hear it because I hear it too.
She is with detectives.
You said carbon monoxide was in the garage or in the house? We saw through a window.
He was located in his garage in his vehicle.
Okay.
What kind of medical treatment was he given here at the scene?
Typical life-saving measures, CPR.
Anyone else? And when you when these life-saving measures were going on, I know my coworker Courtney Zeller was watching this all unfold. I think she counted about 10 minutes that this was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at what point was there a sign of life that you were then able to transport him? I mean, what was that effort like for you guys?
Typically, CPR will be performed for a period of time. If there is any type of life present, he will
best behave,
Will
Dave.
be transported to the hospital, and that's
Kick
what
her
happened today.
ass.
I don't have the exact time of when they determined whether or not Mr. Dulos had any signs of life.
I'm Taylor DeCello from Fox 61. Are they going to be keeping him at UConn Health Center?
So his medical condition, you're going to have to get from UConn.
They are breathing hard, aren't
later on,
they?
working with the chief here in Farmington Police, but anything medical, I know you guys want to know, but we really can't comment right now. These guys are here trying to button up the scene and keep
button up the
moving
scene.
here. So as far as hospital information, medical information, severity and such, critical condition, maybe we'll have some updates later.
How
Hopefully.
much longer are you planning on being here at the scene?
We expect to be here for a few hours, and that will depend on where the investigation leads.
Can either of you talk about what actually is happening here at the scene?
So, go ahead.
At the scene right now,
Yeah.
yes, we are. How do we say this? We're investigating. Detectives are interviewing witnesses, and there are some legal considerations that are taking place right now, and we're working through those legalities, and that's part of the investigation.
And are you looking at anything in particular aside from what happened today, or are you focused specifically on what happened today, or can your investigatory measures go outside of that?
Good question. That would, that's kind of why we're being assisted by the Connecticut State Police, and we'll see where that investigation leads. It's very beginning right now, so I don't know where it'll go yet.
Was anyone else in the house?
Mr. Dulos was alone when officers located
And
him.
what time did you guys get to the house?
We got here about maybe noon, probably noon. I know.
What?
It was 11:54. We got the call, so probably around noon.
Are you able to comment at all whether he at one point he didn't have a pulse at all?
No, and that's part of the immediate life-saving measures. Okay, that's officers on scene determined. CPR was needed, and that was what was performed.
So you say no, you can't comment on that? Or you meant by no?
No, I can't comment.
Are you expected to give another?
We expect later this evening, once we have some more
Can
information.
someone
to share with all
verify
of
the
you,
time
let you
zone
know
that they're
you
in?
Want some info, and we are doing our best.
Now, we saw a Lifestar helicopter landing at UConn Health.
Okay, 2:57, so Eastern Standard Time.
Again, you're gonna have to get confirmation from UConn Health, okay? And any medical updates will have to come from them.
Now, after this unfolded today, did you check in with?
They've
the two
been
other
there for
people
almost
that were
3
charged in
hours.
this case? I know that Kent Maloney is behind bars, but what about Michelle?
And they're
Tristani,
just
who
now
is,
transferring him to another hospital.
So there's still a gag order in place, unfortunately, on the previous investigation. Obviously, they're both impacted by each other. And obviously, the Connecticut State Police Major Crimes detectives are doing their best with the state's attorney, one, to respect all legalities here. Currently, right now, they're just holding the scene to determine what happened, and then they'll move forward. But there's still a gag order going on.
Once again, my name is Taylor from Fox 61. Was there a suicide note left?
It's still, the investigation is way too early for that. They haven't even gotten in and processed anything yet, if they're even going to. So again, they're just
They asked that same question about a note a few minutes ago, and he said yes. But then he said,
That would be
I
something
can't
that,
give that information at this
detectives,
time.
would initiate at some
So it's
point.
kind of iffy.
You guys are doing a fairly thorough job of covering it to this point. So
It's almost like he blurted it out and then retracted
at
it.
this point. But obviously, in any crime, any type of crime like this, or
That's
any
what I
investigation,
gathered.
Detectives are going to work closely with the family as much as possible and keep them informed. That's
Good
their
seeing you
first,
too, mister.
point of contact is usually with the family. It's going to be a while, fellas.
Take care,
Until I hear
honey.
Even news.
How will we know?
Look at that smirk.
We'll get the word out ahead of time.
They said they're doing
Keep on
another
with the
press
Farmington
conference
Police
later.
Department. Fantastic. He'll have some information or something to put out for you later.
Do you know about what time this evening?
No, not this time.
Good. Thanks, guys.
I'm with the New York Post. I missed all of that.
You're watching live coverage of an impromptu police.
All right, let me
news
turn this
conference
down a little
outside
bit.
The home.
Can't even hear
Fotis
myself
Dulos on
think.
the street on Jefferson Crossing. That was Brian Foley from State Police on the left of your screen, and that was Lieutenant Tim McKenzie from Farmington Police. Both not saying much, but they are saying that Fotis Dulos is alive at UConn Health Center.
Yeah, saying he has a slight pulse. They said what tipped them off to the situation at his Farmington home.
But they're
was the fact that he
transferring
was late
him
for
to a different
court
hospital.
appearance
He's
today.
not going to be
And when
at
they arrived at his
UConn.
home, I guess they said just a couple of minutes before
What hospital
noon
did
was
they
when
say,
got the
Pookie?
call. They arrived.
Yukon, didn't they? Or
It said it starts with a B.
He's
Borg.
suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning.
And they began compressions and CPR.
They're transferring him to another hospital.
Because they might be able to.
I'll look it up.
Hold on.
Some of the
Let me look
blanks
it up
right now.
real
I know
quick.
they were just at that news conference, but I know one of the questions was as to how he was initially discovered or how they knew that he was in there. There was a woman who was seen running down the driveway earlier today. We know that she was part of, we don't know her name quite yet, but she's part of the bond package that was put together for Fotis Dulos. She is an indemnitor, we are told. And she was spotted by our reporters there. And so would love to know exactly what she found, if she was the first one to find him and then call police.
Absolutely. And you heard reporters there trying to ask police about that, and they remain tight.
Bridgeport? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't release her identity. They also wouldn't comment about whether Fotis Dulos, who has a slight pulse, is still at UConn Health Center or is potentially being transferred to another hospital.
A source has told me that he will be flown by helicopter, a source close to the Dulos team, to the Bridgeport Hospital Hyperbaric
So why did
Chamber.
they even
And in that
transfer him
chamber,
from
it's an
the
infusion of
helicopter
oxygen.
to
You're
another
gonna get a lot more
ambulance?
oxygen
Why
in your
didn't they
lungs
just
than you
keep
can
him in
just
the
through a
damn
normal breathing.
helicopter?
So it's
I don't think I never seen him moving from the ambulance, from the helicopter.
You mean the helicopter?
Yeah.
So why did the
monoxide
helicopter land?
fumes. And here you see the lifestyle helicopter
I'm all
still
confused.
parked on the grass.
So
there
okay, so if
at
you're flying
UConn Health Center, we are
from
being told that
University
Fotis Dulos
of
will be
Connecticut
on
to
that
Bridgeport
helicopter. State police said that
Hospital.
in a brief statement earlier, that he will
It's
be
not letting me
transferred to another hospital. They're not saying which hospital,
change.
but my source is saying that it's Bridgeport at this point.
There were also a lot of questions about whether Fotis Dulos left any type of suicide letter. I think immediately when you
It's not letting me
heard this
change
this
like
morning,
flight.
that was your reaction. Was there anything that he left behind? Did he say anything about the crime? And police right now just don't want to detail that information. It'll be interesting in the next few days whether something does come out to that
So
effect.
if you were
Absolutely. And this
driving,
was an emergency bond hearing
okay,
today. We had received
it'd take
a tip
about an
earlier
hour and a
today
half.
that, there was a technicality
So
with
if
the
you're
bond involving
flying,
the bank involved in one of the homes
what,
that
cut that
is
in
put up for
half?
collateral in the bond package.
Yeah,
And
depending on,
today,
could be cut it in half to cut it,
drive to Norm Pattis's
especially
office.
with it being a medical helicopter,
We're also told that if he
they
didn't go
tend
to
to
the
get
police would pick him up,
a
and then
lot
of
more
course
clearance than most. So
McKenzie say
right?
that they had a welfare call.
Let me
He hadn't
reverse
shown up,
this and
they
try
went
to
the
hit
home at
flight.
Jefferson Crossing and
It says flight's not available. That's
and
not what
obviously
I'm
it's all
wanting.
speculation at this point whether that bond hearing had anything to do with what Fotis Dulos decided to do to himself. However, the timing definitely ironic, so it gets you thinking.
Absolutely. Let's check in with Channel 3's Eva Zamara. She is outside the Dulos mansion, and she was just at that news conference. And Eva, I want to ask you, because we've talked about this woman who was on the property earlier today. And do you remember the time that she was there? Was she the one who
Flight is
initially
not even an
saw
option
Fotis
on my
Dulos
map
perhaps
at
in
the
garage
moment?
and then called police? Do we know
It's
that?
crazy.
Well, Dennis, earlier this morning when
So
we
it's
were
an hour and a
here on the
half if you
property,
were to
we
drive.
saw a woman pull into his house. It was about 11:20 this morning, and within about 10 minutes, the same car left the property.
we're going from UConn
Now,
Hospital to
actually,
Bridgeport.
as mentioned it just a couple of minutes
I'm
ago,
showing
there's actually
59
a welfare
minutes.
check that was called in because he hadn't shown up to that hearing that was scheduled today. And when Farmington Police got
Driving,
here, just heard
anyways.
Lieutenant McKenzie of Farmington Police saying this just a couple of minutes ago, that when they got there, they looked in and they actually saw Fotis Dulos inside of a vehicle.
Yeah,
And
Dave, I
that
had
is
a
when
lot
they
of
forced
technical
entry. That's what
difficulties with
Farmington
my
Police
mic. I had to
told us just a
restart
couple of
my
minutes ago.
computer, and
They
it took
forced entry
freaking
and
forever.
began
So a
those
lot of people left.
life-saving measures, and that's when we saw my coworkers, Courtney Zeller, saw those really
But
extraordinary
I'm not all about
efforts,
the
those
numbers or
life-saving
views.
efforts.
I don't
She's
care
been
about any of
saying,
that stuff.
all
Never
day
have.
long here on our air, that she actually counted the time that
So
those
I would
life-saving
say
measures were
if
going
they
on.
were flying, they'd probably get there within
That was
20,
going on, and then
20 to 30
eventually
minutes.
an ambulance
Okay.
escorted by a
Yeah.
police cruiser actually leave here from the scene. So again, we're learning from Farmington Police. The newest nugget of information is that it was a welfare check that actually triggered their response here to the home.
And when Farmington
So a
police
welfare
did look
check.
inside of that home, inside the garage,
Because he didn't show up to court.
was inside his car. They forced entry and were able to get him out of that car and actually started those
I see this as karma, you know. He was trying to take the coward way out, and they saved his life.
Here's the thing, though. If he does have brain damage, you know, is he going to be able to remember? Or is he going to play this for everything he's got?
Right.
Was listed in critical condition. So that's the latest update on his
I
condition.
mean,
But again,
I'm sorry, but
we still don't know.
He probably
And Aaron,
knew
I
that
heard you
people would be looking for
The
him.
first question that we asked,
You know,
because we saw.
I'd say if you're going to do it right. So he took that chance on being found.
A note, and we asked that.
Plus, think about this: he's just now being transferred.
It's too early.
So you're telling me that they've been there since noon, and
waiting to
you know,
hopefully get
no
even
telling
more
how long it
information
took
from
to
them
actually
as this
get into
investigation
the
does
property.
Yeah, I think that's
You know,
something everyone is definitely interested in.
Yeah, certainly.
But
is.
I
And
would say it
Evans,
didn't
he's
take
come
them
out
very
and,
long to get there.
So Lieutenant McKenzie said that they
Right?
received this call at
So
11:54.
you're telling me that they were
and you said
working
the
on
woman
him for
came
3
shortly after
hours
11
before he
o'clock.
was
Is that correct?
transported? Something's not adding up.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like
around 11.
when I seen the ambulance and the fire and the police car leave with lights and sirens, I was like, they don't ever leave with lights and sirens when there's a dead body.
Right.
They'll leave quietly. So I was like, he's not dead. And then like 5 minutes later, they're like, breaking news, he has a pulse. I was like, imagine that. Because I thought that's weird. Why would the ambulance be lights and sirens with a police escort?
Leaving his home to actually
You
go
know,
down for
so
this
I
hearing
think
that
it was
today, and it was
planned.
around 11,
I
like I said, 11:18 this
what
morning,
time
we
was he
actually saw
supposed to be in court and what time did they show up?
She actually
I don't know
pulled
what time
into
his
Fotis
court time
Dulos'
was.
house, and within about 10 minutes or so, we actually saw the same woman, the same car leaving from his home.
I know
within
how
about,
it works where I live.
25-minute
you know,
time frame. This is when this all unfolded.
They do different types of
obviously
cases,
he
you know,
had-
like back to
if he wanted
back.
to make it to
So
Stamford
as
on
far
time,
as
he should
roll
have been in the
call,
car at that
say
hour. He was having some
say your
visit.
court's at 10 a.m., but you're supposed to
Yeah, I
technically
think
be
we
there at
timed it out
8:30.
that
Right.
In case
for
you were
us to
called
get
sooner.
to Stanford from our studios in
So,
Rocky Hill, it usually
Well,
takes us
Who knows?
about an
this
hour
was
and
an
15
emergency court hearing, so it was probably just him.
is trying to make it there for noon.
Okay.
He would have
So
to have
him not
left
showing up, they probably sent someone because he's on house arrest.
just how far away
So
Stanford
he's got to have some sort of ankle monitor on.
Right. They probably tracked that he
this
was
woman
still
who showed
at
up on the property
the
at 11:20
residence.
probably
They could
went to
tell
the
that he
door,
was still
knocked
there
on the door,
via
rang the
tracking
doorbell,
device.
didn't hear from
And see,
anyone.
I'm almost positive that most
knew
ankle
that she was
monitors
not the
track
one
your heart
who
rate.
triggered that initial call at 11:54.
Yeah,
you're
because
talking
that.
about
Yeah.
really a
What was it
34-minute
that
time
one?
gap right
There
there.
was a case that.
Yeah, and we don't know what
What was
transpired,
it?
Aaron. It's unclear at this time if she actually
A
made
person was
contact with Fotis
actually.
Dulos, if it was
They were
just
able to
a
leave their
door knock,
house,
again, we
but
were
they
able
placed
to
the
time out
ankle
about 10
monitor on their
minutes
dog.
between the time that
Yeah.
someone was in this home and
And
someone
that's how,
left this
I
home.
mean,
That it was about 10 minutes. And again, that
regardless if
welfare
it
call and
tracked
that
heart
response
or
from
not,
police
it
coming
still
on
showed him being at
11:54.
the
So
house.
it's unclear
Right.
if contact was made with Fotis Dulos when she was
I
here at
know
the
not
home,
all of them
or
do
not.
that,
Again,
you know,
this is
track the
still
heart
very
rate,
much
but
a preliminary
with
investigation.
all the
Okay.
technology they have
Are
today,
still
I
looking
mean,
into all of this, but again,
Right. They know.
yeah.
telling us what actually
Like
triggered
I had a
response
friend that was on
and
house
the
arrest
fact that he had not
about
shown
6
up
months ago.
for his bond hearing. So it's
And
unclear
he
whether
said
it was
that the ankle monitor,
the state, the court that
the
actually
map
made
that
that
they
call
use
saying,
to
hey,
track
you
their
know, he's
GPS
not here, what
coordinates
is he yet?
is like Google Earth,
He
but
made that
10
call
times
that
better.
then
Oh, I'm sure.
ultimately led
Like
Farmington
it's up to date
to his home
shot
to turn
Well,
of
yeah, it's
Excellent. Eva Zamaris, thank you so much in Farmington
it's
for that
updated
information.
to
We
the
appreciate
point to
that. We'll be
where
checking
it
with
can
you
tell if you're going
a
to
little
check
bit
your
later on.
mailbox.
yeah.
Right, Eva, thank you. And also the family of
You can only go so
Dulos
many
did
yards
issue a
within the home.
statement, but did
Yeah.
not address
And apparently he wasn't
the
allowed to go to
latest
his front yard
situation.
anymore because he
Fotis
was
Dulos,
going out there taking
again,
stuff
they
off the
have
memorial.
remained extremely classy throughout this entire ordeal.
Yeah, because it
Yeah,
taunted
we're probably going
him.
to get some sort of statement from them, I would presume, sometime later today, because I know that another
This is
source
crazy.
that, they received a call, the family spokesperson from a police person.
You know, maybe he thought they wouldn't get to him fast enough, though.
Now we know that he's not, and if you're just joining
Do
us,
you know
he
how
is
typically long
at
it
Yukon
takes
Health
for
Center,
carbon
awaiting
monoxide?
transport by
Mm,
Lifestar helicopter to
no,
another hospital. A source
not
said to me
long.
that it's Bridgeport's
Let
Hyperbaric
me
Chamber,
see.
which is often used for overexposure to carbon monoxide because because it helps infuse your lungs with a lot more oxygen than you can take in through regular breathing.
Yeah, he's
And
going
was
in a
found alone
hyperbaric
in his
chamber.
home. No one else was in that house in Farmington. He was found in his vehicle in the garage. suffering an apparent suicide and carbon monoxide poisoning. This happened around 11:54 when police received the call. They got there just
I hate
about
to even
noon.
Google
He was
that.
supposed to
I know, because then it's like
today in Stanford.
Excellent. Channel 3's Mike Savino is right now. He is in Farmington. We can check in with him right now to see what's going on there. Mike, can you see the helicopter from where you are?
Yeah, it's actually right back that way behind me. We're still waiting for it to take off. Actually, in fact, several minutes ago, an ambulance came out to take a stretcher from the helicopter, headed back to the hospital. So we're waiting for that ambulance to come back. Police and authorities on scene aren't confirming who is going into that
It can
stretcher,
kill
but,
someone in
who's
less
going
than
into
5
that
minutes.
lifestyle. But obviously, we're hearing
At low
elsewhere,
concentrations,
that
it will
Dulos,
require a longer
also
period
we're
of
waiting for
time
confirmation
to affect the
from health
body,
center to see if they'll tell us
exceeding
where,
the
in fact, he is
EPA
being
concentration
taken.
of 9
But we're still
ppm
waiting
for
the
more than
ambulance to
8
come back
hours is
with that
suspected
stretcher, from
to
the Lifestar.
produce
It's probably a specialized
adverse
stretcher
health
that fits into
effects
the
in a
Lifestar.
person at
So we're
risk.
waiting for them to come back and transport him.
So 5 minutes or
when
less.
When the
Wow.
Lifestar was landing.
So how long had he been in there
Fire
before?
I don't know.
We're blocking off traffic.
I don't think
because
anybody
the
really
Lifestar
knows
does have
that.
to land out here as
And
opposed
was
to
he
the
sitting in the car, or did he just have all the cars in the garage running,
so
doors closed? You know, we don't know.
This entrance was locked down while we were waiting. So obviously we'll probably see something like that again. But
see, I didn't hear him say that he left a note, but I find it interesting that they took that statement back real quick.
As we're also getting information from police.
Yeah, they asked if he had a note, and
From your
he said,
vantage point
yes,
to see
I
everything
cannot
that's going on at that
disperse that
hospital, but
information at
have
this
you
time.
seen any sign of
So he should have said,
Dulos'
no, I
attorneys
cannot
at all
disperse that
today?
information at this time. But it kind of sounded odd the way he answered it. Because it was like a definite yes, and then like a real quick pause.
He was getting the same information that we had. He hadn't really heard, at least.
So who was did they say who the girl was that was on scene?
It said bondsman, I heard.
Other than that,
Oh.
How true that is, I'm not sure.
He wasn't aware of any.
Yeah, because the insurance company was having issues with his bond.
Come out. Obviously, when it comes out,
really?
we'll try
Yeah, that's why they were.
You're talking about the $6 million bond?
Yeah,
is here
because I guess they were having issues with some of the collateral he had
Like I
put up.
see a police vehicle over your left shoulder there.
That's what I heard.
What the scene
Well,
is
yeah,
like
I
there? Is
mean, to
there a
have
lot of
$6
media?
million
Is there a
in
lot of,
collateral, that'd be
fire
hard
and
for
police
even.
personnel? Are there
Well, he
onlookers?
paid so much of it. He paid like 1.something million in cash.
Well, yeah,
So,
he bailed himself out, but wasn't this like a different?
There are
wasn't
a few
this
other
separate?
onlookers, as you can imagine.
Because he already bonded out earlier in the
to see
week.
what's going on. Some have even asked reporters.
Or last week, he bonded
what's
out
going on.
last
If
week.
they've heard the news, they've been asking us. for
So, I
updates.
mean,
But
I
right
don't
now,
even see if he was able to
the
bond
emergency
out.
crews that you
If
see
he
are
didn't
largely
pay
for crowd
the full
control,
10%,
again, when
he
the
wouldn't have been
Lifestar is
able
going
to
take
go
off,
home.
They'll probably
Right.
have to block off traffic again, just as they did when it landed.
So
So
something's
just
not
in
right
position,
with all
waiting for
that.
things to happen, waiting for the
You know,
ambulance
a
to come
bond's a
back,
bond.
for
You
the
know,
transport,
$6 million
and
bond. So
focusing on crowd
basically,
control when that
10%,
happens.
600K.
Mike, thank you very
Yeah.
much. We, of course, will be checking in
Right?
with you.
Yeah.
6 million,
Thanks
600K.
to UConn Health Center. If you're just joining
Yeah.
us now, it all began today just around during the noon news. As a matter of fact, they were reporting that Fotis Dulos was due in court for a
But yet,
routine,
the bondswoman.
emergency bond hearing. It's
They
routine
said
in the sense that these things do
bondswoman.
happen,
So
but an emergency hearing because there was a problem, a technical problem with the bond.
did he bail
And
himself out,
then
or
all of a
was it
sudden,
an
Drone
actual
3
woman?
captured,
And who is the
a man being
mystery
pulled out
woman?
of the
Who's the
garage at Fotis
bondswoman?
Dulos'
They
mansion.
said it was the insurance lady is who that.
Was
That's
Fotis
what I
Dulos.
heard.
This is
That
the
was
scene
there.
where it happened, just where that blue tent is.
Like, I
is
guess
where
he had
the hearing
gotten
was
in.
administered.
An
And
insurance
there
company
are
had
5
put money
garage
up
bays there, and that is
for the
the
bond.
closest to the main
So
section
they
of
were
the house.
they were
Pulled
having an
out
issue
there,
with the
and
collateral.
they put up these
So
tents
they had to be
afterwards,
in court today
mostly
too.
to obscure the view of the media.
Because they were
Is that
Republicans.
typically? I mean, do you ever hear of an insurance company being a bonds?
Exactly what
When
was
you
going
have
on.
money like he, well,
is
when
just-
you supposedly have
Maybe
money like
life
he does.
insurance, like a
Yeah.
loan off the
Since
life
last
insurance,
May,
maybe.
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
has
because it's a
captivated
guaranteed get back.
Connecticut. It has
Mhm.
captivated
You know, because
the
no
country,
matter
and I
what, when
think
the case is
a
over,
big question that all of
bond
us are
is
thinking
released
now is that
Right.
he has
to
a slight
whoever put it up.
pulse.
So it's a guarantee.
But what happens?
You know, and
to
I'm sure he
ensure
has to pay some
what
sort of
happens
interest on it. But
Now listen,
if
listen.
he does pass? We
That
had talked
bond
to
is
Ryan
only
McGuigan,
guaranteed as
who
long
is an
as he
attorney, criminal
follows
investigator, and
right.
he had
the
spoken about
protocol.
the fact that
So the fact that
it's
he
it
didn't
was
show
they
up
were
for
both in a
court
position
today.
where they could have
Right.
potentially said something incriminating about him, and
You
maybe
know?
gotten a few. less if they were convicted. And so you have
So
to
maybe
think,
that's why
how does-
she was the
how does this
one to
case
show
unfold
up
and
at the
how does it
house,
change
be like, hey,
because of today's
Right.
event?
What are you doing?
Gag order in the case might be why.
give me my
And as you
money.
can see here, this is
Right.
once again that scene, but we had a different vantage point. Just
That's
a
a lot
moment.
of money.
The whole property, and
Right.
most of
And
the
I've never really heard of it either. Like, I can't believe an insurance
front,
company
this is
would
the
put up a
back of the
bond for.
house. The
Well, he
garages
would have had to
an
have actually
entrance in the
taken
back
out
as
a loan
well,
on his
and
life
he
insurance.
was pulled out of the back.
Right.
So
Or her.
You
that's
see,
probably it was on him
that's the
more than
first Edit Bay
likely,
that's
and
Edit Bay.
she
Garage
was
Bay, I meant to
probably
say.
just the
It's open, that's
insurance
television term, Edit Bay.
representative
Apologize for that.
Yeah.
that
Pulled out of
handled
there
it.
by
But
police. There
technically,
were,
it was
several
probably
officers there,
him
and then they
taking
brought
out a
out
loan
bag,
on his own
presumably with
policy.
some life-saving equipment.
Or
and
it
very
could have
difficult to see
been
what's going
her
on there. You see at the top of your
policy.
screen,
Who
that's the
knows?
circular driveway.
Right. He used assets of his property as
And as we
collateral
said, this is
Right.
a
for the bond. I was
federal
answering
property,
Captain Obvious'
with
question.
a lot
Oh,
of
okay.
land as
Okay.
well.
So
You
it
can see all
was
of the
it was
emergency
a
vehicles and
secured.
police vehicles parked in the
Right,
front.
but they were having issues with
Quite
some of the
some
pieces
time.
of
Is
collateral
looking to
because he
gather
had,
potential
I
evidence
guess,
that they
people
can
were
in the garage or the
foreclosing on
house for
him
that
or
matter,
whatever.
as well
Like,
as
he
speaking
had so
to
many loans
other
out, people were
witnesses.
coming
Did they
for him.
notice anything? Did they see anything?
Ah.
Yeah,
You have
so
to
he was
imagine that
in
the house
Look
financial
at all of
ruin.
those
back,
SUVs.
so
They all
it's
match in the
extremely
back.
private in that
Oh,
sense.
yeah,
It's
that's
crazy.
totally
There's
the
like
FBI.
4 or
Very
5
exclusive area right on the
SUVs that
Avon
are all
line near
black.
Deer Cliff, if you're familiar
Yeah.
with that area. It's on Avon Mountain, and these homes
I was
sell
curious to see if
for
they were
upwards
going to
of $1
actually
million,
show them
in some
trying to
cases
resuscitate
more,
him.
many cases more
They did
actually.
earlier.
Jennifer Dulos
Did they? I
lived here
missed
with
it.
her family
Oh,
and
yeah.
Fotis Dulos until she
I think
learned
it was
that
this
the bear
station.
shelter Fotis.
They had
She moved
drone
out
footage.
to Canaan
Hmm.
with the
So that's the
children
whole reason why they put the canopies up is because they seen the drone in the sky. And
as well.
but yeah, the drone footage watched him perform CPR on him for like 10 minutes.
She is also out on bond.
Yeah, so they, I mean,
Who was Fotis
granted, when my
Dulos'
uncle passed away,
attorney
they did
civil
CPR for 25 minutes before they got a pulse,
to commit
and he
murder in
died like
connection to the
20
disappearance
minutes
of
after
Jennifer
they got to the
Dulos.
hospital.
He
Oh,
remains
really?
So
in
they
prison
still try
right
until
now.
you tell them
We
to
are
stop.
waiting. We
Well,
are on
he
the
would
air right
have to
now
have
to
a
wait
pretty
word
strong
of
pulse
exactly where Fotis
just for
Dulos
them
is
to
going.
want to
You
transfer
saw the
him
video earlier, live
and
shot
put him in a
of Lifestar
hyperbaric
helicopter
chamber.
Right.
parked outside the Yukon Health Center
You
in
know, if
Farmington.
it was a
Right.
really faint
That he
pulse,
will
I
be
don't think they
flown
would have
from
risked
there. A
taking
source
him and
close to the Fotis
transferring him.
Dulos team has
Right,
told
I
me
don't
that
either.
he
You
will
know,
be
they
taken
would have probably
to
waited, got
the
his pulse up
Hyperbaric Chamber
good
at
and
Bridgeport
high at
Hospital.
the other
Yeah, to see
hospital
if they
before
can
Specializes in this
transferring
sort of
him
thing.
help give
him
him some
to
more
the trauma
oxygen to
center
his
with the
lungs
hyperbaric
for
chamber.
that carbon
Right.
monoxide
That's just my
poisoning.
opinion.
You just saw a
I don't
presser
know,
about 10
but
minutes ago
you would
Right.
from
think,
state
right?
police
But
Right.
as well
who
as
knows why they
Farmington
do some
police.
of
They
the
were
things they do
outside
these days.
Fotis
Like, for
Dulos'
example,
Farmington home,
you know, the
updating
police
the
said that
media
they
on
got
the
there about
situation,
noon.
remaining
Well, it's
tight-lipped
3
on
o'clock.
a number
He
of
just now
items, but
got
they did say
transferred
Fotis
about
Dulos
20
was
till
found
3.
alone in the
So a
home. He
little
was
over
in his
2.5
vehicle in the
hours,
garage,
almost 3 hours
suffering from an
before he
apparent
was
attempted
transferred.
suicide.
It's just,
They
there's
did
something
perform CPR on
amiss
him, and
there.
he does have a slight
Right.
pulse. Was taken
I
to
mean, you
Yukon
find
Health
somebody
Center.
in a
Eva
car
Zamaris, who was
or,
just
you
reporting
know,
from the scene
a
there, was
full
mentioning to
room
us
full of
that at
carbon
around
monoxide,
11:18, 11:20,
you
a
know,
woman was
now
seen
they did
on the
try
Farmington
resuscitating him at the
property. Right now,
residence.
police are not identifying
However,
who
why
that
did an
woman
ambulance take
was,
so long to
and the
show
call
up,
came into
for
police
one?
Right.
around 11:54
I don't know.
for a
I don't
welfare
either.
check. They arrived at the home of Fotis
I
Dulos
don't either.
around noon
It'll
because
be
he had
interesting
not
to see how it
shown
plays
up
out.
to a court appearance, an emergency bond hearing that was set to take place in Stamford today. That's what triggered this whole investigation.
And once again, you are looking at Drone 3 video of the Farmington mansion where Fotis Dulos lived and tried to die here today, according to authorities. We're being told by sources that he attempted suicide in the garage using carbon monoxide in a car there, from a car there.
In a car.
He was pulled
Or
out,
from a car.
CPR.
He was pulled out.
Now we're moving on to Farmington. This is outside the UConn Health Center. There you see the Lifestar helicopter. Mike Savino explained the situation there.
So it could be either or.
Is where it is. It's not like other.
They could have pulled him out of the car, pulled him out of the garage.
Now, police in that press conference would tell us whether Fotis Dulos was leaving.
The fact that they haven't moved him yet is troubling.
It reported to us that he was leaving. That's what that came.
He may not be stable enough to
So
fly.
that's live footage of him in the helicopter right there.
Being moved. As to where he's being moved, that remains to be seen.
So that helicopter is on standby. You can see fire department right there, ambulance.
What?
As well as other emergency personnel attempting to lock down this scene there, prevent onlookers from really stopping and creating any kind of commotion. You see a little movement there, but that Lifestar helicopter is ready to bring Fotis Dulos.
So they
Apparently,
haven't
sources
even
are saying,
transferred him
to
yet. What
Bridgeport.
is
This
going
what I was
on?
told by my
Right.
source. And because of the layout here, we assume maybe he'll come by ambulance.
I mean,
to
the
that
helicopter, the
because it's
chopper's not even
right on the-
going. I
right
mean,
next to the
they
emergency room or wherever he's being.
they have a
treated.
lot of wind, so
It'll be interesting to find out too. Earlier,
I
there
guess
were
they would wait till
reports that
everybody's
he was
inside the helicopter
deceased,
before
and
starting
we
it.
learned
But
that
I
was
mean,
not
you
true,
have
that he
seen
had a slight
helicopters on the ground
pulse
with the
and was
propellers
being
going
brought to
too.
UConn Health Center
Right.
after
It's not even
CPR
running.
was performed. I believe police said for about 10 minutes. And now they will be looking to bring him to that hyperbaric chamber in hopes of providing him with some more oxygen and hopefully so that he would be able to survive.
Detectives and investigators certainly still have some
They're
questions. for him,
taking
namely,
their sweet time.
It's the big unanswered question. in
Yeah, what's
all
up
of
with
this.
Harvey Weinstein,
And if
Emily?
He does, obviously innocent until proven guilty, but if he does know where she is, that secret would have gone with him today had he been
Now, is that
successful.
the other lawyer?
Harvey
You have to
Weinstein?
think also that just a
Yeah.
few days ago,
Oh
he
no
was in
no
court
no!
for an
That was
issue
the
with
one
him
where the
violating
Me
the
Too
terms of his
movement.
bond. He
Oh,
was on house
oh,
arrest.
okay.
He
Yeah.
was given the
Okay.
ability to
I'm a
go
little
to
behind. Forgive
he
me.
was given the ability to go to the grocery store as long as he had permission to do so. But on one day, on his way back to his home,
Yeah, that's what
he
I was thinking too,
apparently
Mandy.
touched and removed some items that were supposedly a memorial to Jennifer Dulos in front of his home, and that's why he was back in court, because obviously that was something he was not supposed to be doing.
Something appears
Because
to be
he's
happening
really
here.
handsome,
They might be holding
Emily.
up a
You
sheet
have a hard time
to
believing he killed his
prevent the
wife.
media
What
from
is this,
seeing
Chris
exactly
Watts
what is going
101?
on here, unless that sheet is for the stretcher. But I don't think
Looks
so. I think
can
they're
be
probably,
very
this is
deceiving.
often
Let's
done,
just say that much.
to
Protect his
Just saying.
privacy.
protect the
I
privacy
mean, yeah,
of the
he might
patient,
be
first of
good
all, and
looking,
obviously,
but
there are
the
reporters on it.
devil
That's exactly what
also
they're doing. They
came
want to
dressed
conceal
up
what's
in
going
blue
on here,
eyes and
but,
blue jeans, right?
So this, again, no confirmation of this, but we are told
I'm sorry,
that
that's
Fotis
just
Dulos is going
funny.
to be being flown. So he could be in this ambulance.
Yeah, you can see some movement coming from that ambulance. They are holding up that white sheet.
Yeah,
blocking the
interesting.
stretcher
Good
right
point,
there as they
Captain
continue to
Obvious.
move it from that
Says, I'm
emergency
surprised
vehicle.
they could transport in a helicopter due to air pressure.
Right
And
to the left of there is that Lifestar
is the Lifestar
helicopter.
helicopter.
Presumably, that's where they are bringing that right
And
now.
we're going to be seeing
Do
that.
they
We were
usually
told
cover them with a sheet?
Fotis
No,
Dulos
it's
is
because
going
of
in
all
that
the media
helicopter,
presence.
and so we're we
I'm
have not
sure
been
there's
told
a
of
ton
anyone
of
else
media
in that
there.
helicopter. So
Oh, I guarantee
that's
it.
what we're with from state police. Just about an hour ago, we were told this, that he would be, actually more than an hour ago, that he was going to be flown to another hospital.
He has a slight pulse, we are told at the moment. You could see
Still
for a
slight?
second there some medical equipment being brought above the white sheet that was placed right there. And you also saw something being removed from that ambulance as potentially this stretcher is going to make its way to that Lifestar helicopter, which is situated just to the left of the screen there.
And we just saw a police cruiser pull up.
So we're obviously going to stay on this shot and see what we can glean from this video as we are taking live pics right now. This is outside UConn Health Center.
It appears by the slight movement I just saw in the legs of the stretcher there that maybe he is already on the stretcher and now they're going to be moving him over there. And again, Mike Sabino explained why he is here and not, and there you see.
All right,
There's
so
no one there
no
yet.
one is on that
So
stretcher to the left.
maybe they're pulling it the other way so that he can, maybe he's telling me.
What are they doing?
They're putting him on a different. They're putting him on the helicopter.
Behind that
Right.
sheet.
But
There are two stretchers, it appears.
there was also supposed to be two
They
ambulances
transfer
as well.
him from one onto the other, which this stretcher presumably will go onto the helicopter.
This is so weird.
We don't
I've
want the
never seen them
curious
do this before. Like
seeing exactly
transferred
what goes on.
stretchers.
The
And you
hope
got
it
a
will be
guy
Fotis
clinging to
Dulos.
his life.
Fotis Dulos, 52
Okay.
And
years
they're
old. He is
just taking their sweet time.
Yeah, and
Dulos
the copter's not
accused
even
of
running.
killing his
Well, I
wife
can't confirm that
over
at this
Memorial Day
moment.
weekend.
I don't know if they
Last
started
summer
it yet
on
or not.
Friday, Memorial Day weekend. He was
I
arrested.
wonder if he's even still alive.
Arrested for the murder until just a couple of weeks ago.
Because they should. Well, they did turn on the oxygen a minute ago, though.
With Jennifer's mother, Gloria Farber, in New York City under armed protection. They did release a statement today. her family, but they did not address the latest revelations in this case and the situation that Fotis Dulos is involved with right now. Still no movement behind that sheet, but obviously it is something they're trying to obscure from our eyes as well as other prying eyes. Mike had mentioned.
Well, with a faint pulse, I doubt he's conscious.
This is a case that has really captivated people all across the state and all across the country. You see this huge mansion and you think maybe there's this picture perfect situation, and now we finally do have some movement.
They're
you
moving.
Can see that stretcher being brought behind that white sheet, behind that LifeStar helicopter right there.
And he'll be put into the LifeStar helicopter and brought to a hospital. A source had earlier told me today that he was going to the Hyperbaric Chamber at Bridgeport Hospital. I just got information from that same person who says that may have to change due to the capacity in Bridgeport may not be available at this time, and so it may be going to New York. That's what I'm told by my source. So we'll have to wait and see.
That's what the holdup was.
Fotis Dulos right now being presumably put on this LifeStar helicopter to be brought to another hospital. I believe Yukon Health Center is just a level 2 center, so obviously they're looking for a hospital with hyperbaric chambers to treat this need from the carbon monoxide poisoning that he suffered from that suicide attempt in his garage.
This is the closest to his home, only a couple of miles away. He came in by ambulance shortly after.
Thanks, Mandy, for that.
Just so many twists and turns in this case. It's one of those things that I think. I was talking to a number of people today. You see people in the grocery store. People want to talk to you about this case.
Everybody wants to know.
They can also change the elevation.
It's a
in
heartbreaking
the
situation on so many levels. So many twists and turns and ups and downs. And first hearing that Fotis Dulos was dead, and then learning that he indeed had a pulse after this suicide attempt.
They keep referencing him as it.
We do know Kent Mawhinney is in
I
prison
didn't catch
and
that.
remains there. He has not been released on bond where Michelle Troconis was. But this is just something that has interested people, and still no sign, Dennis, as you mentioned, of Jennifer's body, although a lot of evidence was collected.
Isn't there a movie called Jennifer's Body?
Laid out in those pages and pages of arrest warrants where we learned about the dumping of clothes and other evidence in Hartford that was seen.
It's just the way they said it.
Video. Police, as we know, were searching the trash for weeks, trying to comb through. Very difficult job, looking to capture any evidence that they could.
Oh, I thought they meant they were
painstakingly.
Yes, there is a movie called Jennifer's Body.
Tried to bring justice to Jennifer Dulos and her family.
And
I thought they meant they were looking through the trash for her remains
after suicide
for a
attempt that has
second.
now been confirmed.
It's like, what?
By police initially. What had happened was after it was announced, multiple sources had told us and other media organizations that he was dead. Norm Pattis came out and said, no, he has a pulse. He is alive. And
They're saying he. I haven't heard him say it.
Farmington police in that brief news conference you saw
he isn't it
on Channel 3 just about 45 minutes ago.
You just saw the doors close on the LifeStar helicopter.
Oh, she said she caught it at least twice, them referring to him as it.
Was transported from his Farmington home, which is very nearby, after his suicide attempt. He was just taken from that ambulance behind a white sheet to obscure our vision and give him some privacy, as well as responders there. And he was loaded onto that LifeStar helicopter, potentially going to now a hospital in New York, Dennis.
Absolutely.
You want to hold down the fort for a second?
Someone very close.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Someone very close to Fotis Dulos has told me this. This is where he's going to be headed.
It is still a very serious situation. He remains in critical condition with only a slight pulse after the suicide attempt. He was in his garage alone and inside his vehicle when police received a welfare check call around 11:54 this morning, and they headed to his home around noon, and in one of his 5 garage bays found him and attempted CPR, and Drone 3 captured a lot of that aftermath with police tenting off the area as they look to revive Fotis Dulos after his attempted suicide.
So once this helicopter takes off, of course, it will focus on what is next. Number one, where is it going? What is his condition? Lieutenant Tim McKenzie of Farmington Police said there might be an update a little bit later on today, although we don't know for certain. He didn't know exactly what time that would be, if that would be, in fact.
And police are remaining at the scene of Fotis Dulos' home in Farmington. They said they will be
They
there
really
for
aren't in a hurry to take off, that's for sure.
Collect any evidence that may be in the garage or as well in the house. Reporters did ask whether Fotis Dulos had left any type of suicide note, but investigators said at this point they could not comment on that. There was also a lot of talk about a woman who showed up at Fotis Dulos' home around 11:20 this morning and left about 10 minutes later. She is meeting with investigators at the moment. As you see, this helicopter looks and appears as it is going to take off any moment.
Carrying Fotis Dulos, the accused killer of his wife, Jennifer Dulos. This all began about 3.5 hours ago, right here on Channel 3 with Eyewitness News at noon. You saw we were reporting on an emergency bond hearing that Fotis Dulos was due to show up at in Stamford. He did not show up there. We later learned that at 11:54, 6 minutes before our news began, that they received a welfare call, Farmington Police, to go check on him because he had not shown up in court. And they went over there, and you saw it unfold live on television. About 12:05, he was pulled from a garage bay, and they began to administer CPR. We do know from our reporters on the scene, Eva Zamaris and Courtney Zeller, that a woman came to visit him at about 10 minutes past 11, didn't stay there all that long, probably left around 11:20 or so. We don't know her name yet, but her name is on the bond paperwork, we're told. She is an indemnitor and a friend of Fotis Dulos. What they talked about, if she even saw him, we don't know yet. But we do know that about a half an hour after she left, that's when the welfare call was made to Farmington Police. They went over there and they found him.
And you'd have to think that welfare call did not come from her, presumably, because she had you're talking about a 34-minute time gap where she left. But police are interviewing her to see if perhaps she did speak to Fotis, if she saw anything. At this point, we don't know exactly when this transpired, when Fotis Dulos entered that garage and turned his vehicle on. And why she went there, because he was supposed to be en route to Stamford at that hour. It's a good hour and a half from Farmington to Stamford. And he was still in the house, obviously, when she went there. Police did mention he was alone in the house at the time of this attempted suicide. No one else was in the house. Eva Zamaris and other reporters were asking about the status of especially Michelle Troconis, Fotis Dulos's girlfriend, and where she may be. She is out on bond after being charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Kent Mawhinney, Fotis Dulos's attorney in the civil case, also charged with conspiracy to commit murder. However, he is in prison right now. He was never able to get out on bond. This is a live look right now at a Lifestar helicopter at Yukon Health Center. This is where Fotis Dulos was transported. It's only a couple miles away from his Farmington home. So it was.
We don't know for sure. They said there was, but then they said they couldn't comment on it. So
he has now been transported into that Lifestar helicopter, which is just taking off as we watch live right now.
They said the lady that showed up at his house was an Endymion on the bond.
Farmington, just a couple miles from the Dulos mansion, where he tried to
friend of Fotis. He showed up at 11 and left at 11:20.
Speculation as to where this helicopter is going.
Okay, repeat again what you first said when I came back on.
They said the lady that showed up at his house at like 11 was one of the Endymions to the bond. And a very close friend of Fotis.
Okay.
There was someone that signed on the bond
moments ago.
Okay.
An ambulance.
And she is cooperating with the police. But she got there at 11 and left at 11:20. So and it makes you wonder if she knew or if maybe she's the one that found him.
Lifestar helicopter.
Well, somebody had to have called 911.
Is with us now, and
right. Well, they said the court did a welfare check on him.
Dennis, there
Still,
are some
somebody had to have called
concerning
911.
Attorney Ken
Right.
Mawhinney. He is one of
I mean,
the two other co-conspirators. or one of
I
the
don't remember
three
what the first
in
of
this
front
murder
of his
charge.
house
He was
looked like,
not
whether
in
there were
court
windows
today.
into the
He is
garage, but
incarcerated. He has been
I don't
unable
think
to
so.
post a $2 million bond, but his attorney was here.
$2
And the
million.
purpose of this hearing in Superior Court was to suspend his law license. Now, keep in mind, a few months ago, or just a few weeks ago, no action was going to be taken against
I thought it was a
Kent
$6 million
Mawhinney's law
bond.
license,
No, I think they're talking
simply
about
for
the
the
lawyer.
fact that you are
Oh.
considered innocent until proven guilty. But now, since he is unable to post bond, he really can't service or represent his clients. So a judge agreed today to suspend his license. Attorney Lee Gold was in court today. He is not only a friend of Kent Mawhinney, but he's also his criminal attorney. He
What'd the
didn't want
attorney
to
do?
comment on the criminal case or how the latest developments concerning Fotis Dulos and his apparent suicide attempt could affect his client, but other attorneys that we have spoken to feel that it could make the case a little bit more challenging. But still, you have a murder case, you have evidence, so the charges certainly will not go away. But as for his law license, that is going to be suspended indefinitely. And at this point, what they have to do is appoint trustees to take over.
How can it be
his
suspended
clients
indefinitely?
and their cases, and we're told they have
Because of all
some
the
work to do.
charges he made.
No, think about
200 to
that
300
statement.
files that
Suspended
they have to look at.
indefinitely
But
means
as the
suspended
criminal case,
forever,
Kent
right?
Mawhinney
Yeah.
is a friend
So
of
why
Fotis
are they
Dulos,
even calling it
who's been
suspended?
arrested and charged with conspiracy
Suspended
to
is a
commit
temporary
murder,
thing.
and he is the only one who was not able to
I don't
post
know.
bond, and that's why he was not at
Makes
his
no
court
sense.
appearance today. But his attorney definitely did not want to talk about the criminal case or how these latest developments could affect the case going forward.
I would say
I
with
bet he did.
that large of a house
You
and
outside
that
Hartford
much
Square
money,
Court
yes,
today?
most definitely
And I think
security
that's what everyone
cameras.
wants
Now,
to know,
whether they
Dennis,
were
is
on or
that,
not
a
is the
lot of us are
question.
thinking immediately,
Right.
how does this affect Michelle Troconis? How does this affect Kent Mawhinney? And I'm
Yeah.
sure that's on their minds, their attorneys' minds, and everyone who's
Okay,
hearing
so
this.
Makeup by Mandy says
It
no. It
obviously is
means
going to
impending,
play a big
pending
factor
the
as this
investigation.
case moves forward.
And if you
Okay.
wondered why we haven't seen Norm Pattis today, because normally anytime Fotis Dulos is in the news, we do see Norm Pattis. He is out of state handling another client
Hey,
right
I'm
now.
gonna hop off here. Someone
Colleague
just
Kevin
showed up.
Smith
I'm
made
gonna.
a
Okay,
brief
sweetie.
statement to reporters
All right,
earlier
but I'm
today,
still listening.
confirming
So.
that he
Okay.
was
Thanks
at
for having
the
me.
UConn Health Center
You're welcome,
until
honey.
he said
Bye.
that he walked away.
And again, you have to remember that there is a gag order in this case, and so they do have to remain tight-lipped on a lot of these issues. What we want to do right now is head to Matthew Campbell. He is live for us at Hartford Hospital. He just recently spoke to a doctor about exactly what happened with Fotis Dulos in this attempted suicide and carbon monoxide poisoning and the steps to potentially revive him. Matthew, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Aaron and Dennis, just a few minutes ago, you saw that helicopter taking off, going to an area hospital. And this is all because of this attempted suicide and carbon monoxide poisoning. And we do know that because Fotis is in critical condition, that exposure is known as a high-level exposure. And the effects from a high-level exposure can be seen within an hour, sometimes even minutes. And the doctor that we spoke with wanted to know what some of the symptoms Fotis was experiencing. She says that he likely experienced confusion, vomiting, lightheadedness before possibly and likely passing out. And, when first responders first got to the Farmington home, they saw through a window Fotis in medical distress, and they immediately started performing CPR. And that CPR you saw unfold live on Eyewitness News at noon. And what you saw first responders doing then was actually saving Fotis's life because a faint pulse was detected. So we did want to find out what that meant, what a faint pulse could signify here in this case. And the doctor says that, everything is done on a patient-by-patient basis, but it is a concerning sign because it does mean that the pulse likely was lost for at least some time. But the thing that no one knows, not even the first responders, is the duration that the pulse was either faint or possibly not there at all. So the duration is definitely key. And what you're seeing right now with Fotis being flown to an area hospital, one that does contain a hyperbaric chamber, we wanted to know what that meant for him as well. And so that is, the doctor says, to delay the consequences of the carbon monoxide exposure. But sometimes the patient could be too sick to even get in it because I guess the procedure itself is very intense and it could actually magnify some of the consequences a carbon monoxide patient could experience. And we're also learning that in a lot of these cases that don't result in death, the impacts could be sometimes life-altering forever. Basically, you have brain damage, heart damage that could be minor, sometimes also very severe, and it could carry on with him through the rest of his life. So right now, the doctor says the main thing to keep someone alive is getting oxygen to the lungs. And that can be done right now via a full face mask, sometimes even through a breathing tube. So it's still very touch and go, obviously, when you see a patient being flown out, but those are some of the things that he could be undergoing right now as we speak.
Matthew, we don't know exactly how long Fotis Dulos was in the vehicle with the engine running in the garage. Did he mention anything about timing? Like, how long does it take for carbon monoxide poisoning to set in? And is there a certain number? If you're in the 10 minutes or 20 minutes, I assume obviously the effects would be worse.
Yes, he's still alive.
Yeah, Aaron, it's all about the concentration and the duration of that exposure. And because we don't know how long he was in there with his vehicle, with that garage likely shut, it's very tough for doctors to tell. But they do say in these types of high-level exposure cases, the impacts really could be felt within minutes, but sometimes it could take up to an hour.
Wow. I thought you just typically fell asleep with carbon monoxide.
Let's check in now with Channel 3's Eva Zamaris, who is live outside the Dulos mansion at Jefferson Crossing in Farmington, who attended that. Give us some details of that news conference for those who weren't watching, Eva.
Well, Dennis, Farmington Police as well, State Police, just gave us just a brief kind of update about everything that was unfolding, maintaining that this is still very much an active investigation. They're still in their preliminary stages of this all. And actually,
I'm going to get ready to end this stream here in just a second, guys.
Lab, almost like an emergency services, one of those very big trucks.
Depending on what happens,
actually just showed up.
I may go. Excuse me. I may go live again at the next press conference.
Road ahead of them tonight. Farmington Police even saying that during their news conference a short time ago. So just to quickly reiterate what we have already reported here on our air, Farmington Police say that it was actually a welfare check that triggered them to come to this home, to Fotis Dulos' home here on Jefferson Crossing in Farmington. Now, as we've been reporting throughout the day, that he actually had a bond hearing that was scheduled for today. And when he didn't show up, that is actually what triggered that phone call. And again, Farmington Police responded to the home here around 11:54. Now, when officers did arrive here, they were able to see through a window. You just heard Matthew Campbell say this, that Fotis Dulos was actually inside a vehicle inside his garage showing medical distress. They forced entry into his home, pulling him out of that vehicle. And my coworker, Courtney Zeller, actually witnessed the minutes that first responders were here on the scene performing those life-saving measures on Fotis Dulos. She said it earlier today and throughout the day that she actually counted the time that those life-saving measures were underway. She counted about 10 minutes before Fotis Dulos was actually taken away. We saw an ambulance leaving from the scene here being escorted by a police cruiser. And again, the newest piece of information was that it was a welfare check that actually alerted Farmington Police to come to this home. Now, when we did ask about an update on Fotis Dulos, how he was doing at last check, he was listed in critical condition. We are awaiting further updates about his condition. But again, we keep talking about that weak pulse, that he did have that weak pulse, ultimately transporting him to the hospital. But again, they are maintaining that they're still in the early stages of this today, even though they've been here since about noontime today. They've got hours ahead of them tonight. And again, we did see that mobile lab from Newington show up here just a couple of minutes ago, indicating that there are going to be setting up shop here at Jefferson Crossing. We've seen local police, we've seen a number of state police lining at Jefferson Crossing here as their work is not done just yet. And we did ask Farmington Police, can you detail a little bit about what this investigation does entail, what you're doing right now? And they couldn't provide us with the specifics. They also reminded us about the gag order that is in place right now, limiting them from giving us information about what's unfolding and what's happening in the very latest, because I did want to know, you heard Susan talking about Kemba Winnie, the other person charged in connection to this case. I did ask Farmington Police whether or not they made contact with Kent Mawhinney, who is currently behind bars, and Fotis Dulos' former girlfriend, Michelle Triconis, who is currently out on bond. I asked them if they had made any contact with them today following this incident here in Farmington. And Aaron and Dennis, we were hearing that what happened earlier today being referenced, that it was around it was 11:18 that I sent a text message to our newsroom that someone had actually shown up to the home, that it was a woman that was in a silver sedan. She actually came here to the home, was here for about 10 minutes. It is unclear at this time if she actually made any contact with Fotis Dulos or what unfolded here during that time frame. But again, she left about 10 minutes later. So within about 25, 30 minutes, that is when Farmington Police and first responders did get here to the scene, ultimately starting those life-saving measures. So it's unclear really truly
news
what
media
transpired.
staking outside the house.
To him, what those 25 minutes
she received a text
before
message
state police and Farmington Police and first responders
stating a woman showed up.
Come here to the scene, but I did alert state police about that a woman was here, that she did come a little bit earlier in the morning. And I did try to ask Farmington and state police about that when we had the opportunity to talk to them about what unfolded here. And they said this is still very much early stages of the investigation and they're going to be looking into everything.
Eva, where you are in Farmington, this is Jefferson Crossing, right outside of Fotis Dulos' home, where he attempted suicide in one of his garage bays this morning. Can you maybe have your photographer pan out a little bit? I'm curious to see the scene and see what you can see from where you are, and maybe describe just how many vehicles are there and what the scene exactly looks like, and paint that picture for us.
The scene has changed dramatically in the last 3 hours or so. I do just want to kind of step out of the way. It's kind of a tough vantage point here, Aaron, right now. We're at the very tippy top of Jefferson Crossing here in Farmington. This is a private drive. This is as close as we can get. And if we zoom in a little bit, you can see that there are local police here first. You could see that these are Farmington police cruisers. And that brick house that you can actually see right now, not far from where we're standing, not far from Street View, that is the Dulos mansion here in Farmington. And this is ultimately where all of this took place. This is where Fotis Dulos has been living. This is where at one point Michelle Triconis was
say the likelihood of brain damage is very possible.
It's a little bit hard to see if we
depending on how long he was actually in there.
Previously,
what do you think, Mandy?
See the line of state police cars that are parked from the other end of the street, across the street from Fotis Dulos' Farmington mansion. When I was over there, I could see about 5 or 6 state police cars as well. You could see another Farmington police officer is here. This is a state vehicle that's currently following them as well. We've seen state and local police cruisers coming in and out of this private drive all day long. And again, things have definitely quieted down as they're now in the investigation phases.
Well, 5 minutes or less, you can actually die from carbon monoxide.
Just came in here, and when we've seen these trucks before set up at other emergency scenes, it is when
she left. If the woman showed up at 11:18,
warm up, but to
she was there about 10 minutes.
Process what's going
the cops
on.
showed up
at
noon.
The indication that they're setting up shop
so
for
think about
a long
it.
Period of time, and that's exactly what's going to be happening here.
So that's about 40 minutes.
Farmington Police, how long they were planning on being here, and they said many hours.
I mean, who knows what happened
investigation,
between
like
the time that she left to the time that the police actually arrived.
So
he could have still been in the house at that time, just not answering the door.
11:28, she roughly left. The call came into police at 11:54. We don't know the woman's name yet, but we do know that she was a friend of Fotis Dulos and that she is part of this bond package. Her name is on the bond paperwork, correct?
Well, we're still waiting more information from Farmington and state police about this dentist. I did ask them if they had any indication as to who this woman was. I didn't get an
call
answer.
To police 11:54.
Reiterating that they needed to.
So police were there within 6 minutes.
So it's still unclear at this time who that woman is. But again,
who called the police if she left
today? And after this started to all unfold, we were quick.
Mystery woman gets there 11:18, stays 10 minutes.
This morning,
called
again,
to
around
police at
11:54.
11:54.
Message showing someone that had actually come to Fotis Dulos' house. We don't know who she is, if she made contact with him, and then if ultimately what happened in between that time frame of them coming to the house again, because we do know that welfare check was triggered. We still don't know who made that welfare call, who said, hey, Fotis Dulos did not come here for his bond hearing, so we don't know who ultimately placed that call that something potentially was wrong and he needed to get checked up on.
Okay.
In Farmington outside the Fotis Dulos mansion at Jefferson Crossing. We thank you for that information. We'll check in with you a little bit later on.
I also want to mention we just did get confirmation from Bridgeport Hospital that they are not expecting Fotis Dulos to be taken there. They say they do have a hyperbaric chamber, but it is strictly for wound healing. There is some speculation, as you mentioned, that he is being taken to a hospital in New York.
Hyperbaric chamber,
but
yes.
we are waiting for confirmation on that. So right now, we do want to go back to Channel 3's Mike Savino. He is outside of UConn Health Center, where that
Thanks for that, Mandy,
helicopter
again.
carrying Fotis Dulos took off.
Yeah,
just a
it
few
really
minutes
depends
ago.
on the
Mike.
number of factors, the levels of carbon versus oxygen.
It was here on scene for a little over a half an hour before it took off just a few minutes ago, as you mentioned. Actually, it landed, an ambulance had to bring a special stretcher to the emergency room where they were able to then transport him and take off. Again, that took about a half an hour. So we're actually
But
waiting
are
for
they
some
just
details from the
speculating
UConn
that the
Health
court's
Center.
called the
We're getting an
welfare check?
indication that they will be putting out a statement.
Because I mean,
in a few minutes.
it
We're not
kind of
exactly
makes
sure
sense
what
that
it
the
is, but they'll
mystery
be
woman
confirming.
would have
Obviously, we're
called
getting
the
information
welfare check.
from state
She's the one that
police
showed
as
up.
well. But they did tell us that they don't expect to confirm to us where Dulos will be taken. Obviously, we just heard from Bridgeport Hospital that they are not expecting him there.
Remember, they said she was in a silver sedan,
looking to find out
or a silver SUV.
But it was quite a scene when the Lifestar was here. Obviously, there's plenty of media here, not just local media, but we're seeing media from New York City.
Her vehicle was
even some
silver.
national media here, even just onlookers
I know that much.
coming out with their cell phones, getting their own pictures and video from people who work here, even just traffic driving through here. When it landed and when it took off, police and fire here at the UConn Health Center actually had to block traffic to allow for a safe landing zone for that Lifestar. The helipad is just over my shoulder. It doesn't land on the building.
So why is it they said that Bridgeport can't take him even though they have a hyperbaric chamber?
Right over
Was
there
it
is
the
where the
attendants?
that the Lifestar landed on.
No vacancy?
Right out here in the open, so they had to block off traffic to make for a safe landing here.
We're watching as that Lifestar helicopter took off live. From your vantage point, what we saw is a stretcher being brought out of an ambulance, covered by a white sheet, and then put into the Lifestar helicopter. From your vantage point, were you able to see anything else?
No, our vantage point obviously was obstructed by that same sheet that you guys are seeing. Obviously, that sheet was there so that people can't see what is happening. So it was blocking us as well. We did see, as you saw, they were loading some equipment. But there was a second stretcher there. That was the stretcher that was in the ambulance initially. They took that out to make room for this stretcher that came out of the Lifestar. So that's why you were seeing a second stretcher there.
If the courts did call the welfare check,
just as much as it was.
Why is it a mystery woman that showed
We were
up?
talking earlier, Dennis, about why there were potentially two stretchers there.
Absolutely, that's exactly.
Why
how
is
they do
it such a
Mike
mystery as
Savino,
to
we thank you
who
so much
showed up?
For that information. If you're just joining us, we can just give you an update on what's been happening.
I
all
think
day.
they
We
were
are
staking
in
at the house, the
interrupting
media.
Dr.
That's
Oz right now
why the
because of some
media
breaking news that
person
happened just around midday, and
received
that
a
is
text
big break in the
message
Fotis Dulos
of
case, a big
a
development, and that is
mystery woman in
he's
a
due in
silver
court
car
today for
showing
an
up.
emergency
So they had to
bond
be there
hearing.
on scene to see it.
He didn't show up. Farmington police went to his home and they found that he had tried to commit suicide.
Yeah, he was supposed to be in Stamford for that court hearing, and obviously that is quite a ways from Farmington.
I know,
so
right?
He was never on his
Captain
way,
Obvious.
which is what alerted them to a welfare check around 11:54. They showed up at his Farmington home on Jefferson Crossing, apparently saw him in the garage in
What's only for
distress
wound
inside
care?
his vehicle after attempting suicide. He suffered carbon monoxide poisoning, and immediately first responders started to administer CPR. Drone 3 capturing all of this just as it happened, and as police were putting
right now. We
up
have
those tents
some of the video.
to block the situation.
Are they going to show it again?
We probably do not have the video. But yeah, it was quite the
pointed,
scene as they pulled him out of the
took it
garage
away.
and the whole bit. And then there were reports that he had died numerous sources and numerous media organizations all reporting that he had died. It spread all across Twitter and through the news world that Fotis Dulos, an accused killer, had died. And then about 20 minutes later, we started to hear that he had a pulse and that he was not dead. This is not the video right after he was administered CPR. We're choosing not to air that right now, but it was a dramatic scene because you saw a drone seeing that something was going on. You saw the police running out of the driveway and running out of the garage. You saw them pull a man out there and start to do the chest compressions, and then a few other officers ran around. They came up with a bag, presumably of some life-saving equipment.
I don't see why
then
that's
they put
such
up those tents so that to
you know,
obscure the view from the drone
I don't
that we had
think
flying
that
above
that's
there. And that's
too bad
the
for
way it's
TV
been
to
seen
show.
ever since this afternoon.
Yeah, it was obviously a very
I mean,
upsetting
somebody
scene,
getting
which is why we're
CPR.
choosing to present
Maybe
this
for his
to you
kids,
in the aftermath
you know.
when those tents were placed up. From there, after
Yeah, they don't want to see
officers
that.
say they tried to administer CPR for about 10 minutes, Fotis Dulos was taken to Yukon Health Center, which is just a couple of miles away from his Farmington home, where we then learn he did have a faint pulse. That's a wider view right there of his Farmington mansion. You can see it is quite a large property, and media is not allowed right on the property because Jefferson Crossing is a private road. At Yukon Health Center, Lifestar did land on the grass there, and we saw it about 10 minutes ago. He was taken from an ambulance from Yukon Health Center and placed into a Lifestar helicopter. There was some thought that he was potentially heading to Bridgeport Hospital to a hyperbaric chamber, which you talked about earlier, Dennis, would help bring more oxygen to his lungs and take away some of the symptoms he is likely experiencing.
My source had told me that due to the Bridgeport Hospital situation, he is now being brought to a hospital in New York, and we'll get some confirmation on that coming up in just a couple of minutes, hopefully.
Yeah, our assignment desk is tracking Lifestar at the moment, and as soon as Lifestar lands, we will let you know exactly what is going on. The other thing that happened before we learned about Fotis's attempted suicide was that a woman was on Fotis's property, showed up at around 11:18. She was there for about 10 minutes and then left. Now, the fact that Jefferson Crossing is a private road, we don't know exactly what transpired. Did she knock and no one answered? Did she ring the doorbell and no one answered? Did she happen to speak to Fotis Dulos? All of that investigators are remaining tight-lipped on, but they did say that she is speaking to investigators currently, and they are trying to learn more information about exactly what role she played. You did mention she was a friend of Fotis Dulos and also was on, her signature was on his bond.
Yes, she is a businesswoman, a local businesswoman. That's all we really know about her, and that she helped with this bond package. She's an indemnitor on the package, and why she went there at that particular time, we don't know, because he was supposed to be in a car heading to Stamford at that hour at 11:18 when she showed up. So did he call her and say, come over? We just don't know.
There was also a question about whether Fotis Dulos left any kind of suicide note, any letter, any other evidence behind. Police at this point will not tell us that information, only saying that they will remain at his Farmington mansion for a number of hours as they continue to try to collect evidence, whether it be in the garage, in his vehicle, in the home, and also trying to speak to any potential eyewitnesses who were a neighboring home, if they saw anything. I think that just a week ago comes to mind when he violated the terms of his bond by messing with a memorial for Jennifer that was placed in front of his home. He got a pretty good lashing from a judge about violating his bond, and then he was no longer able to leave his home. He had always been on house arrest, but the terms of his house arrest earlier had allowed him to go to the supermarket with permission, had allowed him to go to work. After taking some items from that memorial, the judge said, you're on full house arrest. You are not allowed to leave your house.
We have a full crew of reporters covering the story for us today, from Courtney Zeller to Eva Zamaris, Matt McFarland, Matthew Campbell.
Okay, guys. I am going to go ahead and end this stream. I may go live again later. And appreciate everybody sticking with the technical difficulties. I tried to not ever have those, but hey, that's life, right? That's the fun of being a YouTube creator, right? Okay, so before you guys leave, listen. Birthday stream tomorrow, my channel, 10:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Got some people I'm going to have on panel, and we're just going to have fun. Okay, so try to be there. Yes, tomorrow is my birthday. So, I don't know. I wonder where MJ's Hyperbaric Chamber is. I have no idea. I don't know. All right, but they said that they would do another press conference later on. If you have any breaking news on this case, you can for sure email me, KSmallzTruth@yahoo.com. You can also find me at Twitter, KSmall_Z. If y'all want to put the links in there, mods, that'd be great. And just stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream, and we might see you again here later. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Much love.